Okay, seems like we're good. I'm not seeing any encoding lag, which is good. Don't know what the fuck was happening with
Hmm.
that, but I guess it got fixed by restarting OBS.
Yay!
Anyways, hey, what's up, everybody? How we doing? We're back. Umineko's
Yippee!
back.
Can I watch Umineko too?
Wow, probably. Give me 1 second.
Yippee! Dagger, thank you for the sub.
Thank you for the sub.
Thank you for the head pats.
Oh god, the message got deleted because I restarted OBS. What was the message? What was the sub message?
Shit. It said Happy Mother's Day, something something Umineko Rosa, probably.
Yeah, probably. That's fine. Anyways, hooray! Back with Umineko. I love this. It's been like 2 months. Where are we?
We're right where we need to be.
Without even being allowed to wait for dessert, we were chased out of the room. Truly the greatest tragedy so far. What? Hello? We good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw you kind of blip out there for a second. I'm like,
Oh yeah, Discord was doing that thing where it wasn't showing me it for some reason.
Oh, okay, I see. I heard that in the end, our parents were unable to get grandfather to respond. Well, I'm not sure I should be saying this, but I feel like grandfather deserves a pat on the back. His kids suck so bad. Like Kinzo sucks, right? Like we can all agree
Oh,
that Kinzo.
super.
We can all agree that
Uh-huh.
Kinzo's a bastard. His kids fucking are awful. I don't blame him one bit for holding himself up in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's his fault that his kids suck, but
Mm-hmm.
he had to be feeling pretty satisfied with the shock his strange letter had given to his children, who had all been so infatuated with distributing the inheritance while he was still alive. I too felt like our despicable parents had gotten what they deserved in all this confusion. Battler's like,
Man, I
yeah,
love Butler.
yeah. Battler's like, nah, they earned that shit. Goddamn. But I couldn't really say that I was feeling great. I felt all sulky. Grandfather hadn't entertained them for a moment, but he apparently also hadn't denied him anything about the letter. Grandfather's name pops up several times in the witch's letter. Grandfather knew that someone was stealing his name. Considering his character, he'd probably be mad with rage. But even though Grandfather knew the contents of that letter, he coolly ignored it. Missed the last 2 minutes because I had to refresh. I'm sorry. It
Okay, we just started.
happens. Yeah, we just started. They got forced out. We talked a little bit about how much Kenzo sucks, but his kids suck too.
Yep, that's literally the gist of it. I'm gonna go grab a drink really, really quick. Keep going without me.
I've been watching me drink this tea. Has like really gotten you like, oh wait, I could also use something, huh? The mobile app. I see. I see. But even though Grandfather now knew the contents of that letter, he had coolly ignored it. In this case, did that count as a silent yes? Auntie Ava, and Dad had clearly been trying to interpret the letter in their favor. Their greed clearly visible. I'm so excited to finally get to like actually trying to figure out this fucking letter. It wouldn't have mattered so much if that were all, but the adults then started focusing on Maria, who had received the letter. They kept pounding her with questions about who had given her that letter. Maria repeated over and over again that she had gotten it from Beatrice, but there was no way a mysterious person like that could be mixed in with the others on this island. After all, this is a small island where no one lives except the Ushiromiya family. Maria kept repeating that she had gotten it from Beatrice no matter how many times she was asked. It seems that the adults felt like she was trying to trick them, so they didn't hold back and questioned her until she broke out into tears. Poor Maria. By the time Maria was released, she had cried herself to the point of exhaustion. Our parents ordered us to go to the guest house and take Maria with us, then shut themselves up in the dining hall and started getting louder and louder as they discussed the inheritance. It seems that because of that strange letter, the possibility had arisen that Uncle Krause's ability to become the next head could be turned into a blank slate. And in exchange for accepting him, my dad and the rest were trying to swindle Uncle Krause out of a lot of money. Something like that. Jessica and I, both astonished, were happy to move on to the guest house. We didn't want to be under the same roof as those filthy adults, their heads so filled with thoughts about money. George Haneke pleaded on our behalf of our parents, saying he wanted us to understand them. I mean, George, like, I get that you're trying to be empathetic and be like a reasonable figure and be like, well, I mean, look at it from their perspective or whatever. But like, there comes a point where like you just got to kind of own up to the fact that your parents suck.
I'm
I
wearing my
understand.
bingo shirt.
Wow, bingo, yeah.
Sorry, I realized what I was wearing. I had to say something.
Yeah, I gotcha. I understood his reasoning. No matter how filthy this talk of money was, it wouldn't go away if you just closed your eyes to it. But even so, how could they so blatantly degenerate into such money-grubbing demons? They're like, look at all these CGs we made. Look at them.
I also would be like that if I drew them.
Yeah. Maria had cried herself dry and was hiding in her bed. She hadn't even twitched for a while, so she was probably sleeping or dead.
Poor baby.
God, she constantly gets it so rough. Like, it's not enough that Rosa's her mom. She's also got to be constantly interrogated by all these other adults who do not care about her.
There's like every character has it really rough in every like chapter so far.
Oh yeah.
But like some characters kind of get it a little more lenient than other times. Like for example, like Natsuhi had it like really rough, and then the focus is off of her within like the next few chapters. Maria gets fucked up consistently every time.
I don't think there's been a single arc. I mean, like obviously she's survived every arc, sort of.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
she is always like used as like a scapegoat or like is victimized in some way by the events of the route.
There's literally like never a chapter where she hasn't like cried so far.
Mm-hmm. Who in the world gave that letter to Maria-chan?
Hey Barry.
Hey Barry. How we doing? George Nissan, you mustn't ask that anymore. If Maria said she got it from Beatrice, can't we just leave it at that? She has a lot of tears, okay? You would be surprised at how... I mean, you know, 75% of the human body is like... Or 70% of the human body is water by volume, so I mean, that's a lot of tears.
Mm.
I went to high tea for the first time. How are y'all? I'm good. I just picked up like a bouquet of flowers and I drove it over to my mom today and we had like a nice chat for like a little under an hour. It was nice. It was a good Mother's Day.
I love high tea. Did you enjoy it?
Mm-hmm.
I also got my mom flowers and balloons, and then I treated her to a cafe.
So
and my older sister too, because she's also a mom.
So high tea is just like nice like finger cakes and like snacks and stuff with like decent tea, right? And then like there's like a little bit of like a sort of like I don't want to say like a cosplay element to it, but it's like the idea of getting all fancy and whatever.
I love the cosplay element.
It's like the vibes, right?
Exactly. Although I will say, I think most of the sandwiches kind of suck. Especially that one sandwich that's like just a cucumber slice.
Oh, like the English cucumber sandwiches? Yeah, those are... I mean, listen, I had a couple like when we went on the cruise that I'm like, actually, this isn't bad. This is kind of refreshing. But I know that you were just like, no, I hate that.
I mean, when I went to high tea a few years ago for my friend's birthday, I ate everything that I was given. But it was definitely kind of like, thank God that these like sandwiches are like really small because I do not want more of this.
Yeah. I can't talk about the vibe of the place without borderline doxing myself. Hey, don't worry about it. It's all vegan? Neat.
Cool. Very nice.
I'm thinking about how that works out with cakes and stuff, though, but whatever. I mean, we don't want to make her cry any more than this. That said, even we felt a confusion that we couldn't clear away. There are only 18 people on this island now. I thought that, in the middle of all this rain, an unknown 19th person gave Maria-chan that letter and is now hiding somewhere.
Terrifying.
Honestly, it doesn't seem realistic at all. Probably Shannon or someone put on the dress for that portrait and then skillfully planted this ahead of time with Maria. I mean, that's kind of my whole theory, yeah? That's like the whole thing. I mean, obviously there might be like more magic going around than like what is like, you know, whatever, but if we're looking at this solely from the realism aspect, like the Battler perspective, I guess. I mean, once again, my whole thing is like split personality, like Shannon's split personality.
What if Jessica has split personality? Why is she accusing Shannon
No, she's not interesting enough. She doesn't have enough drama.
I'm dead. She literally has blonde hair and blue eyes.
Not enough trauma. Also, that would make
Right.
that would make like what's happening between Battler and Beatrice like incesty, and I don't know if I want that.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It'd be weird if your cousin was like, "I need to step on your balls, Battler."
Yo, shut up.
We're talking
I
about
really
small
want some
cakes.
scones now.
I really wish I was still talking about small cakes. Uh,
I love small cakes.
hey, Video Tree, how we doing?
Hello, Video Tree.
Let's go through the plan of this ahead of time with Maria.
最もマリアの場合
Although, of course, as
あ
soon
の
as
ドレ
Maria
スを
saw
見た
that
らそれ
dress,
だけ
that
で
might have
ベ
been
アト
enough
リ
on
ー
its
チだと
own to
信じ
convince
て
her
しま
that
う
it
だ
was
けどな
Beatrice. We can be Tet. No, we've moved on to stepping on balls.
どうでもいい問題かもしれ
Umineko
ない
when
Hello,
they
human.
splooge, except the minors. Good. That's a good clarification to make. There are several minors. I'm not. Is it weird that I'm just sitting here and I'm like I know they're technically in high school. I'm not counting as like Battler and like Jessica as minors. Those two are adults in my eyes, like very young adults. But
To me, they're minors, but they are so horny.
yeah, like
Like, it is
the whole
because they are
the.
teenagers. They are so horny.
That's fair. You can be 18 in high school. I wasn't, but you know that's fair. I was. Um, I was the old kid in my grade. Uh,
Haha, old.
yeah, it's just due to like when my parents signed me up. You old motherfucker. I mean, that's true. I'm turning 30. I'm turning 30 in like 3 months, dude.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up. I say, I know it's like it's really funny. It's really funny to me that like I've been like between like Eddie joking about like me turning 30 or whatever and me bringing it up kind of unprompted on my own. It's like that like the realization that like I'm still one of the younger members of the crew compared to like everyone else is like it's very funny.
It makes me happy.
Yeah, because it's like
It
it's
makes
one of
me
those.
realize you can still be cool when you grow older.
Mm-hmm. Although, how cool can we truly say that any of the crew are, if we're gonna be honest with ourselves? Because we're all nerds.
A lot of them are cool. Not you,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah,
Saw, but
not definitely not Saw and me. We're definitely like on the outs, but I feel I feel like this is like that sort of thing where it's like person with autism, person who is like 1% more autistic. But I'm like, I look at Saw and I'm like, this motherfucking data obsessed chart man.
I'm just kidding, Saw. Easy target.
Sane is cool. Sane is very cool, actually.
Seems one of the coolest. Moving
Yeah.
on.
Eddie, I think Eddie's cool. No, sorry, you don't get to decide that.
I'm like, alright.
I'm gonna call with him right now. Fuck, human, no snitching.
No, yes, tell him. Clip it.
Whatever, it's fine. Maybe it doesn't really matter who handed her the letter. The important thing is who sent it. The point is that grandfather wanted to cause an uproar by assuming the name of the witch. Assuming the name of the witch. Seriously, that old geezer's good at riling people up. The truth is probably that her occult-loving grandfather was playing around. I mean, if it's not for everything else that we happen to know about this is like a very reasonable theory.
Battler has not seen his family in like 6 or 7 years, and this is the shit he comes back to. Yeah, I also would assume this.
Mm-hmm. Like, this feels like a very, like, even if, like, we would take a step back and we were kind of going back to, like, the first kind of go around on this, like, I think it's really interesting that Battler has, like, such a good read on his family.
Yeah, he has really good memory.
This new migraine med is not it. I had never had a migraine I've had a migraine nearly every day this week. God damn, I'm gonna start gnawing on a door frame. It may be more effective than the medication you're taking. Who knows?
I'm so sorry, Barry.
Yeah, me too. I hope you feel better soon.
Natsuhi coded.
By choosing a dramatic way of handing the letter over to Maria, who shared the same hobby as he did. Paying no heed, though, to the trouble it would cause for Maria, or the rest of us. It's frustrating because they make me stupid. Oh.
ったく
Seriously,
マ
messing
リア
around
が
with
純真な
Maria's
心を
career
持って
hard.
遊びやがって
Once again, Battler, such a good head on his shoulders, so relatable. Wish he would. Every once in a while, I just like wish that he would stop this. Like, hey, every like 5 hours, I'm gonna say something so out of pocket and like perverted that like you gotta like snap him out of like you are right all the time forever.
手紙を渡したのが誰でも
It
いいさ
doesn't matter who handed the letter over.
マリアがベアトリー
Maria
チェ
says
にも
she
ら
got
った
it
っ
from
ていうん
Beatrice,
だ
so
から
let's treat it that way.
そういうことにしてやろうぜ
This is how it always starts.
BRB don't die. You don't fucking tell me what to do.
同感だよ
I
そう
agree.
しよ
Let's do
う
that.
子供にとってのサン
To
タクロースみた
Maria-chan,
いな存在
Beatrice is
が
kind of what Santa
マリ
Claus
ア
is
ちゃ
to
んにと
most
って
kids.
はベアトリーチェなんだろうね
I'm just imagining Santa in like a witch hat and dress, just like going around on a broom giving people presents.
I'm trying to imagine like being so obsessed with Santa Claus that you like convince yourself that you're an elf.
Yeah, like imagine if like Beatrice, like Maria's special interest was like Christmas instead of like witches. That would be so much funnier. Like
And-
Beatrice is like it's just like everything is the same except Beatrice is Santa Claus.
That'd be like so cute and kind of like really confusing vibes wise.
Mhm.
いない19人目も
Whether it be a
サンタクロース
non-existent
も
19th person or Santa
俺た
Claus,
ちが
as
認
long
め
as
て
we
やれば
accept that they exist, they
そ
will
れ
at
は
least
少なくとも
exist inside
マリ
Maria.
アの中ではいるということになるわけだ
Nobody tell.
なるほど
I see. It's important to lie to children to
大事だな
protect their dreams.
Yep.
I like how Battler's coming to this like independent realization. Lying to kids is based, actually.
お
None?
どうしたんだよ
What's up, Jessica?
まだ腹を立ててるのかよ
You still angry? Jessica had her hand on her chin as though there was something she just couldn't understand. When I called out to her, she came back to her senses.
ああ、ごめん。
Sorry.
Sa-
Well, actually,
実はマリアが会った
I was
のは
wondering if it was possible that Maria
本当に
actually
ベア
met
トリーチェだっ
Beatrice?
たってことがあるん
そりゃどういう意味だよ
What do you mean by that?
この島に
Are you saying that there's a
19人目の
19th
人
person
間
on
が
this
いる
island?
って言いたいのか
Bro, I would
マリ
literally
アちゃんの言
shit
うことを
myself.
心から信じたな
We
ら
take what Maria-chan said to her
So you
said to heart.
答えに
We do arrive at that answer.
いや、
No,
そういうのじゃなくて。
that's not what I meant. That's not what I mean.
昔からこの
I'm
島
talking
に
about
は
the story that
私たちの
someone
知ら
we
ない
don't
誰か
know
が
has
住
been
んで
living
る
on
んじ
this
ゃないか
island
って
since long
話があっ
ago.
たんだよな。
Actually, yeah, I mean, if they approach it from the angle of, like, you know, somebody's just been here the whole time.
どこに
That's literally so terrifying.
Well,
That's
I mean,
literally
it's like,
scarier than like a real witch.
yeah, I think so. Like, someone's just been living out in the woods in your island. Got a
Bro.
video in my feed about autistic characters, and Maria was in the thumbnail. I was like, ooh, there she is. Good.
We love
She's-
Maria in this house.
She's my favorite autistic, like, 9-year-old in video games, which is not a high list, which is not a large list, but she's at the top.
And she's the best.
森の中にさ。
In the forest. I just think I go back to like hearing you talk about like some people are like whatever about Maria, like this, like Maria can be like a hit or miss character, and I'm like, everyone who's missed on Maria is like I'm kind of like I don't want to know you, like I'm actually like you lack some part of like the human condition.
I need you to like. I need to like preface this with the fact that like the times were in fact different. Remember,
Sure.
like
Sure, way back
the
when.
environment about autistic people, which is not correct, but you know, just keep like bear in mind that people were not
Mid
so
2000s, right? Yeah.
yeah. And then on top of that, it is a little unnerving. Like I know that Maria is autistic and she is like having her like witch obsession, but it is like very unnerving that like people will be murdered like in front of her and she is like laughing about
Witches.
it.
I like witches. Wow, look, magic symbols
Yeah.
in the forest.
But no, people are very weird about her, especially between her and Rosa.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I can see a world in which somebody will say, like, yeah, Rosa was completely right. And I'm like, you go to hell, actually.
Hmm. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day, everyone. Uh, like I said, I think that the way the game is like structured, it's like you're supposed to feel like a little bit of sympathy for Maria, for like Rosa, but
Yeah.
like I like it's that sympathy that like you're not supposed to like. It's not supposed to be the kind of thing that justifies her actions or like redeems her. It's just like this is like a sad context, and this is like this is like generational trauma being passed down. It's still not right, but
Yeah.
you're understanding the mechanism. The adults were gathered in the dining room, spending a very long time continuing the discussion that had been started by Beatrice's letter. Krauss strongly claimed that the letter was a simple prank, but he couldn't overturn the claim that Kinzo's failure to deny the letter was answer enough. Judging by Kinzo's character, if he knew that the letter had been written by somebody else in his name, he would be mad with rage. Since all the siblings knew that, Krauss had no choice but to withdraw his claim. I like how we're just getting this summary and we're not actually like listening to them like go back and forth on the same shit we know we've seen them go back and forth on for like 3 chapters.
Yeah.
This is chapter 3, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Episode 3, excuse me.
Episode 3, chapter 3.
Well, I was technically right, no matter what, no matter how I phrased it, so fuck yeah.
Good job.
Without even having to summarize it, the contents of the letter were simple. The person who solved the witch's epitaph would receive the headship and assets. This did a lot of damage to Krauss, who was thought to have guaranteed the succession. And for everyone else who had given up on that long ago, it was better news than they could have ever hoped for. I'm very excited that this is like the Rosa route. Or like not
It's
the
the
Rosa
what?
route, the Ava route. I'm like very excited to see like how fucked up and mentally ill and how she handles the gun.
How Ava Crash Out looks like compared
Yeah,
to her
well,
usual normal self.
because like she's already like she's like on the. I feel like she's snippy and petty and like a catty bitch. But like I need to see her like genuinely crash out, like more than just like trying
Yeah.
to get other people to crash out.
Like the other moms,
Yeah.
they are backed into a corner so bad that they become just as bad as Ava
Mhm.
Ava normally is.
Yes. And it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens when like Ava is put into that position where like
Mhm.
she can't be like the catty like side character who's sniping. She has to be the person who's like out here
In
leading.
charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's really funny that the differences in the routes have literally just boiled down to like which mom has the gun.
Basically.
However, there were some points that worried them. The person who solved the epitaph was not limited to a member of the Ushiromiya family. Taken literally, anyone, no matter how doubtful their origin, could succeed the Ushiromiya family. And furthermore, this meant that there was a chance that all the Ushiromiya family's assets could be stolen by some unknown person. In that sense, it was definitely not a situation where anyone could lower their guard, even the siblings other than Kraus. Had this letter come from a saboteur sent by Kinzo who called themselves Beatrice? Or was this the scheme of some unknown person trying to steal the Ushiromiya family's wealth? They still didn't know the truth, but they could say one thing for certain. Maria had received this problematic letter today on this island. In other words, someone who was planning something related to that letter was on the island today. Was the person who set it up Kinzo, or one of the 4 siblings, or maybe some unknown person? No matter how much they suspected each other, they couldn't reach a conclusion. I'm also like super glad that we're finally starting to like, hey, solve the epitaph, bitch. Just fucking
Yeah.
solve the fucking thing. Like it's been 2 chapters, it's been like 2 fucking episodes of like not that, and I'm like, come on, guys, please.
Yeah, it's definitely I was definitely always banging my head against the table whenever everyone had decided to give up.
Yeah, they're just like, we're just ignoring this and focusing on the murders, and I'm like, this is the point. The killer is like, solve the fucking riddle. What the fuck's wrong with you
Yeah.
people? No matter how much they suspected each other, they couldn't reach a conclusion. After getting tired of bickering with each other, they finally reached the extremely obvious conclusion that doubting each other was just a waste of time. We've made no progress. We've just been wasting time. Is it weird that like whenever like Krause talks like this, I'm hearing Dio.
No, I can hear it.
Hmm.
そうね
That's
姉
right.
さんが気
Now
づ
that
い
you
てくれるだ
realized
け
it,
で
we won't have to
これ以
waste
上
so
物憂
much.
しなくて済むわ
It's not certain that father is the one who sent the letter. My husband has merely had enough of you being unable to hold a conversation. Natsuhi, calm
What the
down.
fuck?
Natsuhi, you gotta
Dude.
calm down.
I love women.
Which one of us can't hold a conversation? You keep yelling at me every time I say something. Do you truly think that such shameful behavior is fitting for a member of the Uchiromiya family? They should kiss. Once again, I know this has come up before. They should kiss.
I think they deserve each other.
Mm-hmm. I think they should be a toxic, like, married lesbian couple, and then Hideyoshi is around with Ava every once in a while.
Hideyoshi is just her best friend.
Ava has two hands.
Krause dies.
Yes. Krause dies. Ava and Natsuhi hook up. Ava has two hands. This is the ideal solution. Give it a rest, Ava. You too, Natsuhi-san. That topic's finished for now. Shall we all cool our heads off for now? Let's have some cool drinks brought over.
そうね
That sounds good.
頭を冷やした方
We'd
が
probably be
賢明
wiser
そう
if we cooled our heads.
あなたも
Baby,
そろそろ
don't you want to go for a smoke too? I keep... Has she called, like, fucking Rudolph baby before? I feel like this is new.
No, I don't think so. Maybe like babe or honey, but not baby.
Okay, make a version of the video for Tokyo 1999. It's nearly every character. Yeah.
姉貴の機嫌が悪そうだ
Aniki looks like she's in a bad mood.
一服の方は遠慮するぞ
So, I'll pass on that smoke.
だが冷たい方は
But I agree about the cool drinks. I still have no idea what the plot of this game is. Basically, a bunch of rich people got together in the middle of the night for a family,
Have
conference
you-
on a remote island, and then a letter showed up saying, "Hey, the inheritance is up for grabs," and then murders start happening. Also, there's witches.
Barry, have you ever read Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, also titled 10 Little Indians?
Oh yeah, it's
It's
basically
literally the same thing, but in anime form.
just that, with witches.
With a fantasy aspect to it.
Yeah, it's that with fantasy, and also there's like a meta plot that's like between different versions of that setup. With
Yeah.
like,
And instead of strangers, everyone's family here.
yeah. But I agree about the cool
Rosa.
drinks. Rosa, have someone
誰か
bring
に
some
水を
water.
持ってこさせてくれ水差しごとね
Whole pitcher.
分かったわ
I like how he says like a whole pitcher, like somebody would just have brought a half pitcher. You can just have full. I'm not gonna fill it up all the way. That takes too long. Rosa headed over to the
He's
extension
so
telephone
unserious.
in the corner of the room and called the servants' room. She then passed on what Rudolph had told her to the person on the other end. It's a shame that Rudolph is still going to die first in this. I do really want to know what their fucking deal is.
Have
The
hope.
vicious bickering up until now vanished like it had never happened. That silence continued until Goda finished setting the table and retreated from the room. Is there anything else that you require?
ありません。
No,
もう下がりなさい。
please, leave us.
はい
Damn.
Yes.
それでは失礼
Then
いたします
you'll please excuse me and my big ass chin.
何かございま
If
し
you
た
need
ら
anything, call me at
い
any
つでもお
time.
呼びください
I still am just like, why did they do Goda like that?
Because they hate Goda for real. I hope that
I-
is genuinely kind of summarized, though, Barry, because that is like the actual most straightforward it can get.
Why does his chin look like a bow tie? It's because he's got like that chin that looks like a butt. I
Because
don't
he's
know.
a butthead.
I really think that like it's really crazy how like episode 2 really makes you kind of come around on Goda a little bit.
Why did we come around Goda again?
Just because he was like really relatable and he didn't like Like, he was obviously pissing his pants, like, the whole time. It was just like, no, Goda's in, like, a really rough situation because he's not really, like, one of the servants. In like, the
he's
same way.
really, like... He is more of a stranger than Battler is.
Yeah. And, like, Battler is already kind of on the outs.
Yep.
After listening to the sound of Goda's footsteps disappear off to the distance, everyone took a deep breath at the same time to break the tension. Sure is raining hard. One of our witch, this 19th person, is taking shelter in the arbor of the rose garden right about now. And I wonder. They might be able to avoid the rain, but it would be quite cold. Actually, speaking of this, I actually saw that, like,
Yeah?
so Umineko is, like, the longest video game script, like, ever.
Yeah?
It was number one. I think 100 Line beat it.
Really?
Yeah, I think 100 lines on top now.
Oh, now I gotta play it.
Well, I mean, it's just, like, a lot of that's because, like, it has, like, 100 different routes with 100 different endings.
I guess.
His chin is like that because in the womb, skin starts growing on the back, moving towards the front, and sometimes skin meets in a weird way, which is centered in the center, creating a cleft. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why you had, like, those, like, butt chins. It's like a cleft chin.
My friend has a butt chin.
Yep.
I'm gonna let her know.
You got baked wrong.
I knew she got baked wrong. She's a twin.
Yeah. Mysterious 19th visitor. Sounds pretty interesting. Just like a mystery novel. Normally, in that kind of story, it's a safe bet that the person doesn't exist. One of the 18 would be faking it. I suspect Genji and the others. We should have found any excuse we could to dismiss all the servants of the One-Winged Eagle. I love how they're, like, you're kind of seeing, like, their arcs in miniature here from, like, the last couple, like, chapters, or last couple episodes.
Very summarized.
Come now, don't say that. We must be grateful for their long years of service. Of course, we can't let our guard down. So then, you also agree that whether or not Father was behind this, the person who handed Maria-chan the letter was a servant. Indeed. After all, we were all being friendly in our big happy circle the whole time until dinner, weren't we? All the siblings have alibis. Only a servant could have handed Maria that letter. But all of the servants, they said that they were too busy with the bed making to have any spare time during which they could have gone to Maria in the Ghost Garden. Hey, what are you trying to say then? You aren't saying that the Witch of the Forest, Beatrice-sama, came over and actually handed Maria-chan that letter, are you? Rosa, you used to believe so much that it really frightened you, right? You don't mean to say that you really still you don't mean to say that you still believe at this age. The Witch of the Forest. If she did exist, I'd love for her to appear. But no matter how much I wish, she didn't appear before me even once. She didn't save me from my crisis. Of course not. Ava's like inner monologue being like, I wish, God, I wish, please, please, please. Of course not. I just thought that since all 18 of us said that we didn't do it, there really might be a 19th person. It can't be. In the first place, we were the only ones who came on that boat. We didn't see any mysterious stranger riding with us. You don't think they might have swam across this rough sea, right?
I like that no one assumes, like, the guy driving the boat.
Well, like, the guy driving the boat left. Like, he took the boat.
He didn't come back?
Yeah, fair. Well, it's also the fact that I think that it was, like, specifically, everyone was like, well, it's a woman that handed, like, the letter.
Oh, I guess.
Logically, that's true. It's difficult to imagine that there's a single hidden and uninvited guest on this isolated island. However, it looks like some of us still can't bring themselves to discard that possibility entirely, doesn't it? Hideyoshi had laughed it off, saying that there couldn't be a 19th person, but Kyrie had sensitively picked up on the delicate atmosphere among the four siblings. Just by common sense, there couldn't possibly be any uninvited guests on this small, isolated island. How on earth would they get here, and from where, and when would they be hiding themselves? And why wouldn't they appear openly, even though they had sent a letter in their own name? None of these could be explained. But considering that none of the four siblings had joined on Hideyoshi's laughing, they seemed unable to completely deny in their hearts the possibility of a 19th person. It's very interesting that like Beatrice doesn't show up. It hasn't shown up and like as a guest yet, like in this episode, like she did the previous one. Because I was
Yeah.
kind of expecting it more to go like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to make this clear. We don't remotely believe in that fairy tale about the legend of the witch. Another topic to insult father, is it? Simply mentioning that is betrayal against him. Well, yes. However, this is father we're talking about. It's possible that he, you know... I don't know anything. It's okay, Rosa. You can be stupid.
Why doesn't she just give up and die forever?
Happy Mother's Day. Moms are strong. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the restroom really quick. I'll be right back.
Rosa's really dumb. Really is dumb. Our stream now. Yippee, our stream. Everyone click off the stream and go look again at my made art. Thanks. I drew it like... I sketched it in like 40 minutes before midnight hit. Because I completely forgot about Maid Day. Thank you, Barry. I'm saluting. You can't see me, but I'm saluting. Let me send the emote, actually. It exists for a reason. Oh, I'm so full of food. I went to a cafe with my mom. Well, with my family. Siblings and their kids included. Made so much. I also love food. Food is amazing. I took some pictures actually I should upload it on the Discord really quick here. Let me open it up. Oops. Wrong channel. Ooh, your pictures, Barry. Went to high tea for Mother's Day. That tiny little fruit tart. Just cute. Ran home to make a lemon salmon dinner. Ooh, I fucking love lemon and salmon. Best combo ever. Potatoes look good too. Oh, I want that so bad. I'm so full. Oh, and I never commented on Liger's picture above, but this also looks really good. Mac and cheese. If I don't comment on your guys' food pictures, please don't take it as, like, I didn't see it. I definitely did. And I stared at it for, like, a minute. I just probably didn't really have much to say, because I don't want to sound like a broken record. Because I just have the same continuous thought every time I see your guys' pictures, and that's... Praise the Lord for sending the picture, and... My god, I'm hungry now! There we go. Here's my pictures if they'll send. My Discord mobile hasn't been treating me very nicely these past few months.
No, it's
These
been
past few days,
pretty...
I've been having more trouble sending photos, particularly.
Yeah, you've been having trouble with that. Although, speaking of salmon, I'm still thinking about that salmon my mom got for, like, Chase's graduation dinner. That thing
I'm
was...
literally so jealous.
That thing was so good. Like, I enjoyed what I got, but that was, like, the best thing at the table, bar none.
Barry, you cook me dinner one day?
Wow!
I'll hold you to that. He he.
何を
To Chicago!
なっとるんや
Everyone gotten so gloomy.
どういうことや
What are you talking about?
つまり
You saying the
魔女
Legend of the
伝
Witch
説は
is a
笑い
joke?
話でも
But
な
a
んでも
fact?
なく
Why does he have
事
this?
実だっちゅうんか
You're hearing
What?
this echo on like Hideyoshi's dialogue too, right?
Play
な
it?
んや何を見
Yeah,
学
that's
になっ
definitely
とるん
supposed to
や
be there. All right.
どういうことや
I don't know. I
Like
don't
you're
really hear Neko.
なんやなんや何を見学になっとるんやどういうことや
you don't hear an echo at all on that? Am I
I
monitoring
don't.
audio output or something? Oh, I heard an echo on like one syllable. Okay, good. Then I'm not going crazy.
Oh, I don't have the greatest ears.
It's all good. I'm accidentally getting gaslit by Eddie. She's not even trying.
Eh.
そんな
That's
アホな
ridiculous.
もちろん
Of course, no one believes in
大き
some
にま
witch
たがっ
riding
て
a
空を
bloom and
飛ぶ魔
flying
女
in
なん
the
て
sky.
だが
But the
あの
woman in
肖
that
像画の
portrait,
ベアトリーチェは
Beatrice,
本当
may
に
really have existed on this island.
秀吉さん
Hideyoshi-san,
魔女とかの
looks like we
話
weren't
じゃなく
talking about a
て
witch, but something a little
もっ
simpler.
とシンプルな話みたいよつまり
Let me see if
シンプ
I
ル
have this
そういうことね
correct.
ベアトリーチェという名
You
の
also
愛人
suspect that
を
father had a
お
mistress
父
named
さんがこ
Beatrice
の
living
島
in
のどこ
secret
かに
somewhere on
隠
this
れ住まわ
island.
せそういうことか
Is
し
it
ら
something like that?
お父様は
Father is a
自己を厳し
paragon of
く
a
律す
man,
る
a
模範的
martyr
な
of
方です
self-discipline and restraint. Natsuhi.
Natsuhi.
Natsuhi, come on, you live with the man, you know. God, she's so like
This-
she. It's
This
really
woman has been
incredible.
abused so bad. Like you just can't help but feel bad.
Yeah, this is like almost like she's brainwashed herself. The abuse has been so bad.
Like, what do you mean that Kinzo is like the most like amazing guy you've ever met? Are you
It's fucked up.
serious? I feel bad for you.
I should go back to art now that the devices are charged. Enjoy rich people murder. We will. It's great. Also, give me
Enjoy
2
your art.
seconds. While she does
Yeah?
that, I'm gonna go grab a snack because I like to munch while I play my video games.
God damn, hurry up. My stream again. Ha 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 ha. I have nothing to say except go look at my maid art again. Thank
Wow!
you. Goodbye.
Congratulations. Good plug. I'm Zach. I got PNC pretzel sticks.
Cool.
そのような汚らわ
It
し
is
い
completely
存在を
inconceivable
島
that
に
he
連れ
would
込む
bring
なんて
something so
到底
filthy
考
onto
えられ
this
ません
island. How dare he love a woman? Nazi snapped at her immediately, but it looked at the 4 siblings, including her husband Kraus, didn't think that way. On the contrary, it appeared that they thought Kinzo was exactly the kind of person to attempt such a stunt. The existence of a mistress who had Kinzo under her spell had been whispered since the very beginning when he had built the mansion on this island. I'm sorry, Natsu-san. I know how much you respect Dad, but that rumor's been around for a long time. Dad prepared this island by himself and built everything. With his own 2 hands? I suspected from the beginning that this mansion might have some hidden tricks or secret rooms known only to Dad. And it's always been whispered that hidden somewhere on this island there might be a secret mansion none of us knew about. I'm starting to wonder if maybe this is like...
What? The angle to go for?
Yes, it has. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely like accidentally monitoring this. Give me 1 second here.
Oh, the echo.
Yeah. Give me 1.
I was wondering.
Game capture 4. Monitor and output. Monitor off. Okay, there we go. That should be better. So people have wondered whether he might have built a secret mansion somewhere in the 7 civilized forest for his mistress to live in. Okay. Yep, that's better. Turns out you didn't
Nice.
gaslight me. I just had the
Yay.
thing on. It's a rather large-scale story, because I'm like, I thought for a little bit that maybe it was like one of those things where like, oh, there's approaching the time where like the sacrifice happens, and like it's getting all echoey to reflect like the mystic stuff that's about to happen or whatever. And I'm like, nope, just an audio issue.
You're not cooking at all, brother.
Not at all. Not in the least. In the beginning, we used to say that it might be somewhere inside this mansion. There might be a hidden basement where a fabulous hidden room that the witch in the portrait was secretly hiding. No, that seems ridiculous. After seeing that intricate auto lock on Dad's study, isn't it too hard to imagine? It isn't too hard to imagine, right? Indeed, Father did spread the rumor that he hid a large amount of gold in some secret place, protected by some secret mechanism. We're not surprised to me to find that there existed some hidden room inside this very mansion that none of us knows about yet. When Mother was alive, she would often scour the entire mansion looking for it when Father was absent. Jesus Christ, woman!
Wow.
There's like... It's really impressive how, with like a single line, like you can really recontextualize a lot of the relationship between like Kinzo and like his wife.
Yeah.
Mother also suspected what Rudolph just said. She believed there was a hidden door in the stairway or something, and his blonde-haired mistress was hidden behind it. It's hard to believe, but there are some actual examples of other countries of people cheating with someone over a period of several decades by making them live in a hidden attic room. This was Kinzo with a mansion this extravagant. There was endless opportunity to suspect the existence of hidden rooms.
That's scary.
The legend of the Rokenjima witch. From what I had heard, it was just a fairy tale made up to prevent children from entering the uncivilized forest by scaring them. But it's starting to sound like there's maybe a little more to the story. Well, yeah. As you know, this is a lonely island without anything but the Ushiromiya mansion on it. When Rosa and I were little brats on stormy nights, we were so scared by the sound of rustling trees that we could hear from the forest. We had this crazy delusion that something weird might be looking at us from between those trees. It's only natural for any brat to think something like that. But some people heard Rosa and me taking those claims and weren't happy to dismiss it as a kid's delusion. Isn't that right, Aneke? Aneke. Yeah. Yes. Nissan and I thought... Yes! Nissan and I thought that by coincidence you might have spotted Father's mistress who had been living in secrecy on this island as she went out for a walk when no one was looking. Of course, Mother did too. Among the older servants too, you often heard the ghost story about how the witch of the portrait wanders around the mansion at midnight. Outwardly, I laughed that off as just a ghost story, but on the inside, I suspected very much that it referred to the existence of a hidden mistress.
I love everyone admitting how much of a scaredy cat they were when they were a kid.
Yeah, we were like bitch cowards when we were young. Okay, so you're saying the existence of a 19th person. It's really kind of fascinating to me that like this is only getting brought up now as like a possibility. You know?
Yeah.
Because like everyone kind of had this information beforehand. They just didn't mention it. And even I should have like been like raised into this a possibility, even though I was like so caught up with like the idea of like magic and witches and like split personalities.
Which part? The idea of like a mistress?
Or just like that they were just living in the woods. Like they didn't come here. They didn't arrive here. They had just been here for the whole time.
Yeah, I think that's what I kind of like about Umineko though, because it's like, as the chapters go on, they kind of start introducing like ideas that are like almost too real that it's like scarier.
Yeah.
It never feels like it fully gets rid of that horror aspect about the game.
Oh yeah. Might not be completely ridiculous. They might actually be somewhere around here. Hideyoshi, you better lock your windows at night.
Deadass. Well, no, that won't help him.
Sounds like a case of that devil's proof Rudolph-san's always talking about. God damn it, here we go again.
Yep.
It might be possible to prove that there is a 19th person, but it's impossible to prove that a 19th person doesn't exist. Should we continue this discussion assuming that there is a person named Beatrice hiding somewhere on this island? That's the first step in crisis management. That's the right way. It's probably way more prudent to say that she might exist than thinking that there's no way that she does.
This track is so creepy.
It is.
I love it.
Sorry, I was a bit careless. That's one of the reasons why I thought the echo like made sense, right? Because like
Yeah.
this track is playing.
どうぞさん
Rosa-san, for
さっき
laughing.
は笑って
Sorry for
すま
laughing
なかった
just
な
now. God, oh, it's all right. I don't mind. Everyone laughs at me anyways.
Aw.
Hideyoshi apologized deeply for not being conscious enough of danger, despite calling himself the president of the company. Yeah, I think it's also kind of entertaining that as like time goes by, you start to realize that maybe these people are just like not suited to run businesses. Because like Kyrie could run the fuck out of a business. I don't think
think so?
Hideyoshi. I don't think Hideyoshi's like a great businessman.
But he does run a business. They all do.
I know. I'm just saying it. I just think that maybe they're not good at it. like
Oh.
maybe they suck actually. Franz fell again. By preparing for the existence of a 19th person, they were accepting that some unknown person was hidden on the island. And since this person might have had something bad planned for them, it was only natural that it came with a certain degree of discomfort.
親父殿はかつて不意に
In the
所在
past,
を
Paul
知ら
would
せずに
sometimes
姿
suddenly
を消
disappear
すこ
without
とは
telling anyone where he went.
何しろ
After all, he is a
静
person
寂
who
を好
appreciates
む人
silence.
わざと所在
It
を
was
知
not
ら
out
せ
of the
ず
ordinary for him to shut himself up in the archives after purposefully not telling anyone where he was
別に
going.
不思議なことではなかったよしかし魔女伝説
However,
は
after the witch theory began to be refined in the theory about his mistress, it was eventually whispered that he was secretly going back and forth to see her.
ささやかれるようになった
Mom was completely overridden with doubt in her final years. It's just one of those things where I think what's happening is they're not raising the possibility that feels like way more accurate. Because like
Witches.
they're saying that she looks just like the witch in the portrait. If this was
Yeah.
actually like the mistress, then like clearly she wouldn't look anything like that anymore. She'd be as old as Kinzo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
what
true.
I'm not hearing is like, what if it's like their daughter or something? Like, what if this
What
is
do you
like
mean?
like another sibling?
Oh.
Like the child of like the mistress and Kinzo, like another sibling.
Oh. Okay. I thought for a moment you were like, why aren't they incriminating Jessica?
Yeah.
I was
No.
like, huh? Why would they do that?
No. Although that would be funny if like Jessica was actually like the daughter of like Kinzo and his mistress.
She does
And, like-
have the features.
And like they like Natsuhi like adopted her to be like I have a child. It's cool. We have a kid. It would be really funny. I don't think that's actually what happened. I do think that like Jessica is like genuinely like just Natsuhi and like Krause's kid. But that would be interesting. Although I guess even then, like if we're dealing with the idea that like if we're talking about like the age of stuff, if we really wanted to get into it, it would have to be like. Let me think of this for a second.
Take your time. Chew before you talk.
So like the mistress and Kenzo would have to be around the same age, right?
Yeah.
So like any kid of theirs would likely be around like Rudolph, Krause, like their age, because it was implied that the mistress happened basically at the same time we got married, more or less. I mean, obviously there might be some like wiggle room back and forth. I don't think we've ever been given a firm timeline on that, but I think it's very fair to say. So like, if we really wanted to say, like, I mean, at this point, you could probably say that like if you put Ava in the dress or whatever, you could probably spin it in a way where it looks like Beatrice or whatever like that. But it would have to be like maybe like the mistress's daughter's daughter, like the mistress's granddaughter or whatever.
Jesus.
Because like that's like the most.
That's a lot of people.
That's like the best stage match, right?
Yeah. I guess.
Like I
You
said,
kind of lost me a little.
Oh, by the way, Rudolph's hand looks completely fucked up here. I don't know what the fuck is going on with his hand. Look at that shit.
That's his thumb and that's his pinky.
Yeah, but like with it being cut off, it looks like his hand is melting.
Look at me.
Yeah. I mean, I know. I understand. I'm just saying that the cutoff makes it look like someone put his hand in the microwave for too long.
See, this is Rudolph's hand isn't a prime example of what happens when like you actually do use real life preferences, because like actually it turns out the human body looks really fucked up in real life.
Mm-hmm. It's like that. It's like that Polnareff post that people have actually pulled off.
Yeah.
All right. I guess if we're looking at this from like the realism aspect, I guess the idea of like the daughter of a mistress makes a lot more sense. Although I don't think she would be that young. They picked up Shannon from the orphanage, right?
Yes.
Oh no.
What?
Maybe it is incest, actually.
How?
Because if Shannon's Beatrice, and if Shannon's like somehow related to this mistress, I don't know. Like I'm thinking about the idea of like the mistress's child or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and like
Being
and like
Shannon?
or some maybe like she's like the mistress's child, like the mistress's grandchild, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's like one of those things where like she found out about her like she happened to get dropped off at the orphanage because of like whatever they didn't want, like there was some sort of drama that we were just not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it was like she was like one of the youngest ones that's ever been selected, right? For like the housekeeping duties,
Yeah, I guess.
and like they only come from that orphanage, so I don't know. It's still like super unrefined, and this is me definitely throwing a dart at the wall with like a blindfold on.
Mm-hmm.
But this is tracking a little bit to me.
I mean, all of the... Oh, actually, I don't know. I mean, this is not, like, technically a spoiler, but, like, the employees that they get for the island are, like, from the same orphanage.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Like I'm
I thought
aware.
Okay.
I'm aware that they all come from the same orphanage, and like maybe that explains one of the reasons why she was able to wear like the one-winged eagle like as early as she
Mm-hmm.
was, because she's like actually got like a right to it.
Uh-huh.
Because like Goda, like Kumasawa doesn't wear like the fucking doesn't have the eagle, and she's been there forever. And like I get it's maybe like a furniture thing, like the
Mm-hmm.
furniture of the Ushiromiya family is like by definition part of the Ushiromiya family.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like I said, I'm spitting. I'm flowing here. I'm taking in information and I'm making
It's
connections.
freestyle versing.
This is my version of a freestyle rap. Don't ever make me freestyle rap. I'll kill myself before I do it. But this is my closest thing.
Didn't you technically do it in Jackbox?
Yeah, but that's different. That's different. Like I'm just making the rhymes.
Cat
I've already
in the
had.
Hat.
Yeah, cat. Jesus Christ. Mom was completely overridden with doubt in her final years. Sometimes she suddenly started making a racket and asking the servants to look for Dad immediately, stating it was an emergency.
だわね。
Yeah, that did happen sometimes.
晩年のお
Mother
母
was
さん
always
は
doing
そ
things
ん
like
な
that in
こ
her
とば
later
か
years,
り
and
だっ
that
たか
frightening
ら
atmosphere still hasn't
い
gone
まだ
away.
にその怖い雰囲気が
Yeah, that
抜け
definitely
ないわ
feels like it. Like even if they didn't already have so many negative like fucking like experiences here in this house, I could definitely see how like that happening, like especially to like a parent later in life, would really just like fuck up like the vibe of the house for you.
The vibe was already
Oh,
rancid.
absolutely. Like even if they had had like a really nice childhood, like that would have fucked it.
That's true.
Have they revealed the name of the mom, Ushiromiya? No, I genuinely think it doesn't matter. She's so unimportant compared to like the mistress.
Bro.
Like, she's not important. The only important thing she ever did was pop out these 4 fuckers. That's it.
今だから言える。
I can say it for certain now. Like, literally, I don't think anything else she has ever done has, like, actually mattered to the story.
I mean, what they're talking about now kind of matters, right?
I mean, sure, but only insofar as it relates to the mistress, right? Like, she's not important for her own sake. She just exists to lend credence to something else.
Oh, okay, that's what you meant. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, whenever we're even doing flashbacks of them in their childhood, like, it's always just, like, them and Kenzo. Like, the mom never comes up. Like, she's, like, clearly, like, very kind of absent. Maybe it was just, like, absent for their life when it comes to important moments.
Jesus. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Happy Mother's Day. Moms are...
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. This mom doesn't matter. She doesn't even
have
get
a name.
Doesn't even have a name.
かわいそうな人だった。
Here's a person to be pitied. Moms are pitiful.
Mm.
それで
So then, what were the
そ
results
の
of these
大
large-scale
々
searches
的な
for
家
the
探
house?
し何か見つかった
They
か
find anything?
いいえ。
Nope.
隠し部屋はおろか。
Not on a single occasion
一
do
度
they
たり
even
とも
find
お父
father,
様
let
が
alone
発
any
見さ
other
れた
hidden
ことは
rooms.
ないわ。
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, like, I don't think that there are really any, like, real hidden rooms in the Yoshiromiya family mansion. Because we've had so many
Yeah.
red truths that's just like, nope, no secret passages, no nothing, no nothing, no nothing, don't worry about it. Like, I think
Yeah.
I think the idea of, like, a house in, like, the, like, in the woods somewhere makes way more sense. You know, she's like, that's
House.
enough about the mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we keep talking about her like this, we're gonna have to say her name, and we just don't have that. It'd be really...
Rubesty.
It would be really funny if, like, none of the in-laws knew her name. They're like, I can't... I just, like, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm just not gonna... Let's change the subject so we don't have to worry about it.
そしていつも
And every time, after a
そ
lot
れ
of
か
time
ら
to
だ
pass,
い
he
ぶ
would
時間
suddenly
が
show
経
up
ってから
somewhere.
ひょっこりとどこかの書庫
Now
で
you say he'd
昼
been
寝し
taking a
てい
nap in
た
some
とか
archive, or that the wind had called
風
him
に
down for a
誘
walk
わ
on
れ
the
て
beach.
浜辺でも
There was
そ
always
れ
some
らの
place
場
where the
所は
servants had already looked.
お父様が
You
ど
never
こ
knew
に
where
行
father
っ
had
ていたの
gone.
かは当時からお父様
That
は
time, father was
オ
already
カル
famous
ト
for
に
his
傾倒して
adoration
い
of the
ることが
occult.
有名だったから一部の
So
使
some
用
of the
人
searchers
たちは
exaggerated, saying he might have turned
蝶
into
にでも
butterflies
化
and
けて
danced around the
バ
rose
ラ庭
garden.
園を待っていたのだろうなんて嘘吹いていたっけ
I just noticed, like, Ava's little, like, flower earrings. Those are so, like, girlish and cute for, like, the
Yeah,
type of
aren't
person.
they so good? Her
Like-
design's amazing.
Like, it's just, like, such, like, a weird... It's, like... I think it's, like, a really nice thing to say that she hasn't quite entirely let go of her childhood, despite the fact that, like, she absolutely does not come off as a person who would, like, wear those sort of things.
Yes, I love it. I love her design.
Somebody-
So fucking
お
bad.
父さんは誰も知らない
So
ど
in
こ
short,
か
father
や
frequently
べ
disappeared,
頻
and
繁に
no
あった
one
の
knew where he went. I really love how it's like every
Creates
time,
design.
every time Kyrie speaks, she's like, "Okay, time for some real shit."
Yeah, she's always locked in for real. To be honest.
It's like if Kyrie was actually Battler's mom, I think it makes more sense that like Kyrie is actually Battler's mom versus like Rudolph being Battler's dad. I think he gets like
I'm dead.
more. I think he gets more from like his stepmom than his dad.
They're just so linked.
Curious, like, no, this is my child. Rudolph, go home.
I mean, shit.
Oh, I guess
We
she
can at
does.
least have a conversation.
I mean, she does actually have like her own child. Like what's her face? Battler's
Angie?
sister, Angie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess she does actually have a kid. It's gonna be really funny if she eventually shows up and it's like, yeah, she takes way after Rudolph.
Oh my god, that'd be great.
Since we couldn't find him, no matter how much we looked into the mansion, we grew increasingly of the opinion that Dad might have gone somewhere outside it. There hasn't much to speak of in the area outside the mansion. Moms are so strong. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
There isn't much to speak of in the area outside the mansion, which only leaves the expansive forest. You tie that with the legend of the witch in the forest, you get a theory like this. Dad had actually built a hidden mansion somewhere in the forest. Okay, yeah, so they're just like going back around to what I was like, gotcha. Inside which a mistress by the name of Beatrice lived, and he sometimes went to see her. I'm treating all of this as fact, because this is hitting like this is just making way too much sense to me to not be the case.
Yeah, they've kind of been talking about it for a minute too.
Yeah, this is like one of those things where it's just like, this is technically up in the air, but like, you wouldn't be talking about it this much if it wasn't the case. I was also young at the time. At one point, I came intent on catching father cheating. I tried to follow him when he went outside.
God, they're such kids.
That's like such, yeah, that is like genuinely, I think that's like the most like human thing that I think Prowse has ever done.
Yeah.
God. I failed, of course. Every time Dad went outside, he was oddly intent on staying out of sight and was extremely cautious that he wasn't being watched. He was like that to a very odd extent. But that actually made me sure. Must have been going out for some reason that the members of his family couldn't know about. Why does he have that look on his face when he's saying, like, yeah, my dad was cheating on my mom crazy style?
Because he doesn't respect women.
That's true. He doesn't. And that would be going to meet his mistress. Probably trying to avoid being seen. After Hideyoshi said, seeing Hideyoshi nod and say, yes, this is quite obvious. Ava got a little solid. Well, anyways. Oh, what? Okay, so what's about this that is making her, like, depressed? Did she, like, not want her dad to cheat? Is, like, what's happening here? This whole island was like a sketchbook in which father, with his Western obsession, would draw out all of his dreams.
Maybe it's the idea that, like, her father actually hates women so bad that he couldn't even respect his own wife.
Yeah, I guess that could have something to do with it. I don't know. Once again, I think that puts too much importance on the mom. I think that like we genuinely have to treat her as like she existed. That's it. She was worried about the fact that her husband was obviously cheating on her and was very absent otherwise in their kid's life. Everything about this island was exactly how father wanted it. It wouldn't be odd at all if there was some hidden mansion for his mistress to live in. Ava's words spoke for what all the siblings had come to think. For a while, the room returned to silence again, and everyone listened to the sound of the wind and rain. Was there a hidden mansion on this island? Had Kinso's mistress been living there, hidden and hiding for a long, long time? Every one of them had thought that they were being too suspicious and had refrained from saying it for the longest time, but I'm just wondering what causes things to change. Because, like, I understand that, like, there's small differences in the setup from, like, episode to episode. I'm just wondering what kind of change led to them having this discussion, because this feels like a discussion that they should have had on every single chapter. You know?
Well, what has happened differently so far in this chapter?
It's been too long, I don't know if I can remember.
Okay, so to walk it back, we're starting from, obviously... Where did we start from? Where does the prologue begin?
The prologue is like, I think it's like Beatrice before she was Beatrice.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like
so we get a little bit more context on how Beatrice became a witch, and then, or at least before she was a witch.
Yeah,
and then
the not Beatrice.
We start from the perspective of Ava, who has doubts about being a good mother all of a sudden.
Yeah. And then she
is that like literally it?
And then she like talks to her like her child self and like is like, promise me that you'll never give it up or whatever. And then like she kind of gave it up and she's like betraying her child self.
Maybe that's the difference, is that like the whole point is that Ava never wanted to give up, but in at least this timeline or chapter or whatever, she is still kind of locked in a little bit subconsciously.
Like I said, I don't think that that's enough to like make it so they would just never have this conversation otherwise, you know? I don't know.
I guess.
Whatever. It's like clearly them writing in like kind of filling in like the stuff behind it. It just doesn't make sense. I just like this is like a really minor nitpick. It's like clearly like a thing of like the episodic process of like Umineko, of like creating Umineko. But anyways, It had been a common opinion that everyone had shared. The fact that we hadn't said anything about it before now, don't worry about that. Kiri had been listening the whole time with her eyes closed, spoke to no one in particular.
その
How long has
お
this
父
rumor
様の
about
愛
father's
人の
mistress
噂
been
は
around?
この島に引っ越
As
し
soon
て
as
き
we
た
moved to
当
this
初から
island. So about 30 years ago,
あれ
shit!
から30年くらい前だな
Jesus.
何しろ隠し
Wait,
屋敷の工事
how
の
old are you guys?
俺たちが島に来ちまっ
That's a
たら
great
無理だ
question.
Only 30? Thought you guys been here longer.
Oh my god, I forgot that they all have same face.
Yeah. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
If I was the artist, I also would do this.
She claims to be the
this is how I
strongest,
would
but
look
is
at short
secret,
hair.
but is secretly secretly aware that she's the least talented.
Oh. Makes me feel kind of bad.
Eh. Class president, diatribes, rapid succession. She's actually very lonely. She'll intentionally do things so she gets yelled at, but none of her sisters will admonish her for it making her feel empty. Oh, jeez, this is so depressing. What the hell? All their lives suck so bad.
They all look the same, but they have such shit going on.
Mm-hmm. Fundamental envious and brutal personality is adept at finding others' weaknesses. However, she is better described as not envious, but a crybaby who wants her own way. She's not very shrewd, always ends up in last in the sister's order, drawing the short straw and crying. Taciturn, assiduous, and the most trusted of the sisters is furniture, partly because of her demonic desire to turn her masters into lazy pigs. She could probably call the most demon-like of all the sisters. She is too serious. Conversely, she is not used to being treated with kindness. Jeez.
I know. This is so sad.
Like, no, I'll do everything. I want you to turn into a lazy pig. Quick to take what she wants, but never holds back, not even for her sisters. Greedy and had things all to herself. Most arguments between the sisters are sparked and instigated by her. Amongst the sisters, she is the most honest about her emotions and the most devoted to trying to please the opposite sex. Okay.
Be honest.
Free but hard worker, she will spare no effort to have a permanent monopoly on someone's affection. So it's just that, like, she's, like, really lonely and is just, like, constantly, like, studying, like, how to keep a man. She's, like, doing all this housework and, like, cleaning and cooking and shit.
She's reading all these self-help books.
Mm-hmm. Beelzebub is a gourmet, known to be a picky and big eater. Personality similar to Mammon's, they vie to beat each other to the prize. She's always talking about food, which makes her a calming influence among the sisters. She has a determined desire to kidnap pretty boys and store them in the food cellar. Okay.
Yeah,
She's
you
like...
guys start tagging yourselves. We need, like, a personality quiz just for these sisters alone.
Yeah, like, this is, like, the most normal one so far, honestly. Aside from, like, eating pretty boys, I guess. Youngest of the sisters, doted upon by everyone. She alone is kept out of the way when the conversation turns a little saucy. Hopes that her little older sisters will accept her as an adult. She is constantly on the lookout for a boyfriend. However, she sets her sights too high and spends fantasizing about the prince who will never come. Wow.
They are just girls.
Mm-hmm. I kind of think that, like, there can't be, like, 30, right? Because, like, otherwise, like, it doesn't make sense. They would have to have been, like, teenage parents.
Who?
The siblings. They can't be, like, 30.
These characters?
Yeah. Well, Rosa could be. Rosa, I think, is probably in her early 30s. Like, early to mid 30s. Yeah. Everyone else, I think is, like,
Rosa... I don't remember everyone's ages, but I do remember they were, like, actually surprisingly younger than you'd think they would be. But that could also just be because of anime.
Yeah.
So, like, I think Rosa might actually be either, like, really early 30s or, like, super late 20s.
Well, her daughter, like, Rosa's, like, not, like, Maria's, like, 9, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess, I mean, and, like, I guess with their story, like a early adulthood or even maybe, like, really late teen pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like,
Canaris, we're on, episode 3, chapter 3. No spoilers if you are familiar with Uminekos.
No spoilers, please. We're just kind of talking about, like, the logistics of age. So I guess the implication is, like, everyone was, like, pretty young when they moved over. Like, I don't think Rosa really remembers any other place but here as, like, a childhood home.
Yeah.
But everyone else is like, yeah, I remember a little bit before we moved here.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Think about it. It would have been impossible for him to have a hidden mansion construction once we came here.
人とか機材の
People and
出入りが
materials would have been going in and out.
すぐにバレちまうさ
We'd have found out in no time.
だから
So if
可
this was
能だと
possible,
したら
it would have to have
俺た
happened
ちが
before we
引っ
moved
越し
here.
てくる以前
By the way, when should I change the what chapter, what episode is like when the question arcs end and the answer arcs begin? Is it like 8? Is it like
You know, in the
5?
main menu, like
Where
it's like chapter, it's like
1
episode 1, 2, 3, and then there's like that
5
big
through
bunch.
8. 5 through 8.
That's, I think
Okay.
those are the answer ones.
Okay, gotcha.
多分
It probably would have been
俺
built
たちがまだ
here,
小田原に住ん
built
でいた
along
頃
with his
に
mansion when we were still
屋
living in
敷のこの
Odawara.
人と一緒
お父様は
It's probably
家
appropriate to
族生
assume
活と
he
愛人と
had
の
the
生
plan
活
laid
の
out from the
2つ
beginning
を両
to
立
set
さ
up a
せよ
double
う
life
と
with his family and his
最初
mistress.
から想定多分
His
愛
relationship
人
with
と
the
の
mistress
関
probably
係
went
は
back to the
小田
days when
原
we
時
lived
代
in
にまで
Odawara.
遡るでしょうし
だろう
Probably.
親父殿が
If
言う
his
よう
father
に
says she is the source of the vast
後
amount
宮
of
家
gold that he
復興の
used to
軍
gain
資
the
金と
funds
なっ
which
た莫
resurrected
大
the
な
Yoshiromiya
小
family.
田原時代
He
に
could
は
probably
もう
conclude that
深
they had a
海があ
close
ったと見る
relationship
べ
with
きだろう
since Odawara, at least.
莫大な黄金
A
を貸し付
relationship
けられ
trusting
る
enough
だけ
for
の
her
信
to
頼
lend
関
a
係
vast quantity of gold.
どれほどの
I
古い
can't even
家か
imagine how old that
想
relationship
像も
must have
つか
been.
ん
おそらくお父様が事業で成功する上で
Most likely, she gave father some invaluable advice for achieving success in business. No, she gave him gold, dipshit. I do genuinely believe that it's gold. It's actual gold. We've seen ingots.
Yeah.
それに恩を感
It's
じ
natural to think
そ
that
の
out of a
人
sense
物
of
が黄
gratitude
金
for
を
that, he
与えて
described
く
it
れた
as
というよ
if
うな
this
言い
person
方
had
を
given
した
him
と考
gold.
えるのが
He
自
took
然
out
です
loans! You can't take out loans against business advice, Nazi! Get it together!
そうと考えれば
If you think about it that way, it's
その
obvious they
信
would
仰
have
が
had
あ
a
ったの
close
は当然
relationship
でしょ
after
う
that.
それはおそらく
Rather than a
愛
debauched
人という
relationship
た
with
だ
a
れた関
mistress, it
係
was
では
probably
な
a
く
relationship of
後
gratitude
ろ
to the
宮家
person
の
who
危
saved
機
the
を救っ
Yoshiromiya
た恩
family
人
from
として
Christ.
に
She's
違いありません
delusional. She's coping so hard. She's like mainlining cope at this point.
Sorry, I was checking myself out.
I did see that.
一理あるかもわからんな
You look really
I
nice,
was
by
like-
the way. You look good.
I was like, I might be able to pull off like a really short haircut one day.
She's like she
Maybe.
was like posing it out a little bit. She was like doing like faces and stuff like that, and she looked really good.
For context, I have my hair tied back in a bun, so my
Mhm.
bangs are just like.
You got like a real.
I washed my hair today, so
You got like a real.
like my
pixie
hair's
cut.
nice and fresh.
Yeah, you got like a real
Mhm.
pixie cut look going on right now with your hair tied back.
Maybe if my face was just like not so.
No, I think
Pudgy.
you look. No, I think you look really cute. Anyways, back to the game.
だが
But even in that case,
仮に
isn't
そうでも
building a hidden mansion
隠
and
し
having
屋
her
敷
live
を
in it
作
going
っ
a
て
little
住
too
まわせ
far?
っての恩だけでは測れん
Doesn't that mean there was
環
some
境があった
emotion,
と
some play
ちゃう
beyond
か
gratitude?
まあ全て
Yeah.
は憶測だ
This is all speculation.
第一
In the first place, no one has
その
ever
隠し
found
屋
that
敷
hidden
は
mansion.
誰兄貴はこの島を
Aniki, you're planning on expanding the
リゾート
island
開
into a
発す
resort,
る
right?
その際に
You might stumble onto it by chance in
コ
the
リに
process.
使
Who
うかも
knows?
しれねえ案外
Maybe you'd even unexpectedly find some gold there, too.
お前はロッ
You think that Rokinshima is Treasure Island or
何か
something?
だとでも思っているのかね
I love it when they start like, hey, remember this book that I really like this book that I read. I'm going to talk a lot about it.
とぼけない
Don't
で
play
よ
dumb.
兄さんがリゾート
Oh, you say
開
you're
発
opening
と
a
称
resort.
し
We
て
know that it's just a cover for
島
a
の
full-scale
全域調
investigation
査
of the
を
entire
継承
island,
しようと
okay?
してたのを知ってるのよ例のトラブルのごた
Oh,
ごたで
it
で
sounds
き
as
な
if,
くなっ
due
ち
to
ゃ
all
った
that
そう
trouble
だ
and
けど
confusion we
ね
were talking about earlier, you haven't been able to carry it out, of course.
なんだか知らんが誤解
I
だ
don't know what you're talking about, but you misunderstand.
島の調査は
It
リ
is
ゾート
perfectly
の
natural
第
that
一段階として
investigating this island would be the first step
極
in
めて
turning it
当
into a
然
resort.
のことだ
Kraus tried to play dumb, but it was plainly obvious to his siblings who knew him so well. Kraus was definitely sure of the existence of a hidden mansion. Under the pretense of opening a resort, he had been investigating the island in detail, searching for clues to the location of the hidden gold. They couldn't tell whether that conviction was him overthinking things or whether it was based on some physical proof. It was. It's based on physical proof. You've seen the ingot.
Yeah, that's true.
However, Kraus, with all his guile, was convinced, and the other siblings were similarly convinced that there must be a sufficient basis for it.
森に魔女が住んでるっちゅうのはそのまんま
The story about a witch living in the
おとぎ話やが
forest is straight out of a fairy tale. Whoops. Give me 1 second, I got the pretzel.
Pretzel, no.
Not the pretzel. But a story about some blonde-haired girl living secretly in a mansion no one knows about in the middle of the forest isn't much better. I have been preoccupied with petting my cat who wants attention, but listening intently. Thank you.
Send a picture.
そうね
Certainly.
シチュエーション
Taking
だ
on
け
its
だ
own,
っ
the
たら
setting
まるで
sounds just like
童話
some
か
kind
何か
of
みたい
children's
ね
story. It's
どう
very
さ
Ghibli-esque,
そう
yeah.
いうの好きでしょ
You like
I
those,
do like
don't
that
you,
it's
Rosa?
it does just feel like all of the siblings are kind of like hazing like Kirie and Hideyoshi
A
this
little bit.
entire time.
Well, yes.
まあね
She's just like, she's thinking about her VHS tape of like Totoro that she has in her like luggage right now. She's just like, yeah, what about it? Shut up. When the mansion was built on this island, father was at the height of his prosperity. It is really funny that like, I guess not maybe funny is like the right word for it, but I think it's like kind of darkly appropriate that like you see like this dynamic play out where like Rosa is just completely powerless to her siblings and is just constantly taking like isn't even contributing but is just passively taking jabs left and right. And then she goes out and like she goes out with her daughter and then immediately is like taking out all of her like rage and like her impotency on her.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like I was like it's funny how that and then I thought about it a little bit more and like no that's not funny at
Like
all.
it
That's
makes
just
too
sad.
much sense.
That's just sad.
Yeah.
Posted cat in the pet channel of Discord. Hell yeah.
Yay!
With his money, he could probably have obtained anything, made any of his delusions real. Mansion in the forest where the witch quietly waits. Sounds like the kind of setting Dad would like.
だな
Doesn't it?
Oh
オ
my
カルトチックというか
God.
Like something from the occult or a fairy tale. I'm also gonna chat.
Look at that
Aww.
kitty!
He's so satisfied. He's so
I want to
pleased.
just cry. This is the best photo ever.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, for a moment, Dagger, I thought this was the same cat that's like just above this picture from
Almost.
Jacobin.
Yeah. Jacobin?
Yeah, Jacobin. Jacobin. He's gonna be 16 on the 24th. Oh my god, I just want to smush my face against them. Literally have tears in my eyes as we speak.
Yeah, they're real. She's really crying. Alright,
Thank you for the confirmation.
no problem. Here to help. Alright. Feels like Dad would be into that. My dad's a freak who would hide a woman in a mansion in the woods. On this island, which the Ushiromiya family had lived on for 30 years now, a hidden mansion that no one knew about had been quietly built, and within there lived a witch known only by her portrait. Even this hard-to-believe story might not be completely delusional, considering all of Kinzo's strange habits and his vast wealth.
お父さんがそういう夢を思い描いて隠し屋敷を建てることは
It might not have been impossible for father to build a hidden mansion to satisfy such a dream.
でも現実的な話
However, let's be realistic.
その隠し
Would
屋
it be
敷
possible to
に
house this
愛
beloved
する
woman
女
in that
性
hidden
を
mansion for
不自由
decades
なく
without
何十
becoming
年にもわたって
inconvenient?
住まわせることなんてさ
Well,
あ愛さえあ
there
れば
was
可
love.
能
It could
なんじ
have
ゃない
been possible, right?
愛する女性
Think
が
about the facilities
健やかに
needed to
過ご
let
せる
his
ような
beloved
設備
woman
を
live healthily,
それもお父さんなりのね
and how father would do it.
それはた
For
とえ
example,
規模
even
が
if it
小
was on
さ
a
かった
small
として
scale, it
も
would be an
趣向を
intricate
凝
and
らした
pleasant
快適
residence.
な邸宅に
It would
違い
have to be
な
an
い
intricate and pleasant residence.
そしてそれを維持す
And
る
in
には
terms of upkeep, it would need
電気、
electricity,
ガス、
gas,
水道
running water,
あるいは身
as
の
well
回
as
りの世話
possibly
に
some people to help
人間も必要かもし
some
れ
people
な
to
い
help her.
食事の世話だって大
Even
変でしょ
providing
う
her
ね
her meals would be quite difficult.
衣服や化
She
粧
would need
品
clothes and makeup. Daily
一の女
necessities.
の身の
The
回
needs
りは
of a
簡
woman
単じゃ
aren't
ないわ
simple. She's like, women be
Damn,
shopping. There's
bro.
no. She's like, women be shopping. There's no way to hide that level of shopping from everyone else.
Like, if Kinzo had a mistress, he'd treat her like a queen.
He would. I mean, say
yeah,
say what
yeah,
you
he is a little
say
crazy.
say what you will about Kinzo, but he is a lover. Whether or not he uses it to like awful means, but he is a lover.
True.
Makeup daily necessity. That's not very feminist of you, Kyrie.
それだけのものを
Would it be possible to
Essential
家
make?
内にも使用人にも悟らせずに維持すること
Would
って
you believe that
可
this
能なの
woman's
か
an
しら
essential worker? She dances all alone in this mansion hidden in the woods. Every other member of her staff is fired to let this hero dance.
Shut up! I
When you
love
say
that video.
When you say it that way, it sure sounds like a weak point in our theory.
だがそれで
He
も
would treat her better than his wife. Absolutely, 100%.
けるかもしれんという気持ち
That's
'Cause
so
that is,
fucked
it
up.
isn't enough to get rid of my feeling that Dad might have been able to pull it off anyways. After all, it's Dad. Like, I love how it's like all of them are like who actually know Kinzo are just like they hear that and they kind of shrug. It's like it's fucking Kinzo, man. He'll do what the fuck he wants.
Hmm.
そうね
That's right.
あのお父様
It
だものね
is father.
お父様は
When father had
や
something
り
he
遂げ
wanted
る
to
ことは
succeed in, he
何
would
があって
succeed
も
no
やり
matter
遂げま
what.
す
She's like, Nazi's like, it's ridiculous to think that he had a mistress. But if he had a mistress, she would be the best kept mistress in all of the land.
She's so funny. My god, I love
常
this
人には
woman.
難しいから
Saying
無
that
理
it would be
だろうと
difficult
いう
for a
理由
normal
は
person is therefore
お父
impossible.
様に
It
関
doesn't
して
apply
だ
when it
け
comes
は
to father.
当て
Yes.
親父
You
殿
should
に
never
対して
underestimate father. Like, every single one of them, no matter how much they hate Kinzo, is like, no, he could do it. I don't doubt for a second that he could do it.
That's so funny.
Mhm.
I feel like that really says a lot about Kinzo, though.
Yeah, especially like their childhood, it's like the impossible standard he sets.
Hmm.
親父の
Dad's
狂気は
madness can't be understood by
常人
normal
の思
people.
考では理
He's
解にも
different. He's not normal.
Hmm.
I wouldn't put it past the Ushiromiya Kinzo. As long as that word could accompany his name, a considerable amount of credibility dwelled in any story, no matter how absurd. However, that didn't shake the importance of what Kyrie had said. This was different from stealthily raising a kitten in a cardboard box and keeping it secret from her parents. Taking care of a person in secret over a period of 30 years would be an incalculably massive task.
お父さんの
Legend of Father's Gold
伝説は
started before he gained possession of
六軒島を
Rokujima.
取得する前からや。となると、
That would
そ
mean
の
he and his
愛
mistress
人
go
と
back
の縁
over
は
30 years.
30年以上ということになるな。ってことは
How old would that
今
make
いくつ
her?
なんや
Yeah, okay, so they are raising this point. I'm glad that, like, this is validating to me personally.
Hey,
下手をしたら
Good
In the
job,
worst
did
case,
that.
she could be as old as us or older, right?
それ以上の年齢
Oh,
とちゃう
older,
か
for sure.
体にも
At that age, the body starts to
年
break
頃な
down.
はずや。どんな屋敷
I don't care what the
か知らんが
mansion's like. I wouldn't call living in a place where people's eyes can't reach as long as...
近い生活は
I couldn't call living...
快適とは言えんやろな。
I couldn't call living in a place where people's eyes can't reach, almost as though she were under house arrest agreeable.
そうね
That's
お
right.
父様
If
が
what
語
father
る
had
ベ
told
ア
us
ト
about
リーチ
Beatrice
に
is
ついて
true,
の
that
話が
relationship
正しい
lasted
なら
for over 30
そ
years.
の縁は30年以上当時は魅
She
力
might
的
even
な若い
she might have been
女
a
性だっ
charming
た
young
かも
woman
しれ
at
な
the
いけど
time, but it's probably appropriate to think that
今
she's now
は
an old
私
bag
たち
like
と同
us.
格のタフな食えない女と考えるのが妥当
Woman,
で
please
しょ
look at yourself in a mirror. She's like, "Oh, I'm so fucking old. I'm over it. It's tragic how bad it's gone for me." And it's just like, "Girl, you look incredible. Shut the fuck up. Fuck you."
Yep.
手紙の内容から
I can easily imagine
そ
that
れは
given the
容易に
contents of the
想像
letter.
できるわ
I'm just like imagining that she's saying that and like that picture of like fucking that one pirate Hololive VTuber being like the age of 30 is in demand.
お前が言う
You should talk.
Hag life.
Kraus laughed as though blind to his own shortcomings. Even the narration is like, this dude's a fucking moron. Of course, Ava was offended, but she didn't strike back.
よせよ兄貴
Put it, Aniki.
そして俺たちの想
So
像
if
が
everything we
本当
imagine is true, then she should want to throw her chest with pride and join in on Dad's inheritance problem.
何しろ
I mean, there's a good chance that this love was mutual, unlike with
相
Mom.
思相愛だった可能性も
Fuck! That's all. Ooh, that's rough.
Mm.
Unlike with Mom.
本人には
Happy Mother's Day.
自身の自覚と同時
She might have
Happy
been.
Mother's Day.
She might have been aware that she was his mistress, and at the same time felt a kind of pride of his real wife. It's really funny that like every single time we go through this, it's like the exact same shit, but it somehow managed to be like just different enough to be interesting every time.
Yeah.
Like every single time we sit down with these like six or seven dipshits.
Yep. That's why I don't really mind the breaks too
お母様への
much,
侮辱
because
に
the
当たり
breaks
ますよ
don't feel like too long.
Yeah. That is an insult to mother.
ああすまん
Yeah, it's an insult to mother. What's your fucking name? Nazi, do you know her fucking name?
Yeah, they call everyone by Kinzo, but then she's just mother.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they all say dad.
That's true.
Mom
I'm a
Ushiromi,
liar.
I might be treated well, but at least I'm the real wife. Yeah, sorry.
だが
But everyone knows it was a
親父
political
と
marriage
袋が
decided by his elder
親戚の
relatives.
長老たちによる政略だからこ
Because
そ
of that, we can be sure it wouldn't be odd for
親
Dad
父
to
に
have a
愛人がい
mistress.
てもおかしくないと
The family sank after the Great Kanto earthquake, and Kinzo was set up as the Ushiromi family head against as well. However, in the beginning, he was influenced strongly by the elder relatives, who treated him like a puppet while they pulled his strings. I'm really glad that we have the recap every once in a while. Like, every once in a while, they're just like, oh, we haven't brought this up in a little bit. Recap time.
Yeah.
He wasn't permitted to decide anything by himself, not even his marriage partner. And by his meeting with the Golden Witch Beatrice in those unhappy days. Kinzo's legend of the gold was quickly embellished into something dramatic. In other words, it could mean that Kinzo met with a woman that he really did love. She also knew his whole story, and even if they weren't marriage partners, it wouldn't have been odd for her to consider herself his true wife inside her heart. And now the person registered as his true life was already dead. It would have. It's one of those things where, like, I think
となると
Beatrice, the mistress,
財産権どころか
is like actually
家族
dead.
争いにも食い込む気
Like,
満々
otherwise there would be no point in otherwise she probably would have married Kinzo like after like Mom Ushiromiya died.
True.
Because like there's
That's a
just
good
no
point.
there's like no reason why it wouldn't happen, and I don't think and like Kinzo's the kind of guy who like the second his wife is like in the ground, like he's getting married. Like he had the chapel.
Yo.
He had the whole fucking chapel.
That's true. He had a chapel.
He had a chapel to get married to Beatrice the second his wife dropped. And like he didn't get married, so like she's clearly dead.
Hmm.
Yeah, this
Spooky.
is definitely like either the kid of like Beatrice or I'm definitely like coming up like I'm still like really assured of like the whole like Shannon has like the split personalities thing because the evidence in episode 2 was just like so strong for that.
Hmm.
But I'm also like Shannon as like the descendant of this mysterious mistress. Like I don't know if she's like the grandchild or the child. It'd be fucked up if she was like the child because like that means that like that's like way late. That's like way too late in my opinion. But literally, Mom Ushiromiya flatline Kenzo bringing my lover. Exactly. Like he would do that in a heartbeat. He's a dark lover.
What if Beatrice is just actually like a ghost and like magic? What if magic's not real but the supernatural is?
That's horseshit. I actually like. I would
I'm
hate
just
that.
kidding.
If that was the case, I would genuinely kind of hate that. The reason it's different each time is because some of them get a few more brain cell allowance. Incredible. Magic is real. Maria is right. Well, like, I think that there's like I said, it's almost like it's destroyed. It's like in Umineko there are two plot lines happening simultaneously, that are like kind of connected but like parallel to each other where they don't really interact as much, and that's like Umineko if magic is real and Umineko if magic is fake, right?
Sorry, I'm looking at a tweet.
Incredible. Like Umineko's kind of like running in like a split, like has kind of like a split story going on where they're like running in parallel. It's like the Umineko if magic is real, and then the Umineko if magic is fake. Right? Like both
you could see it like that, yeah.
like they're running parallel to each other, but they don't really interact. So like I think that the idea of like the quote unquote real world solution is obvious. Like the magic world solution is obviously that Beatrice is real and is a witch and is like fucking around and doing all this magic shit. And I think the real world thing is like, yeah, so Beatrice was like a real woman. like who was his mistress. And like he had this separate mansion built for her, and she stayed there, and then she died, and then like either her kid or like her kid's kid is now like is like Shannon or something, and like has developed like this sort of split personality where like she has Canon, she has Beatrice, and she has Shannon. And I think that's the way I'm going with this, because like clearly this is tying together, but I don't want it to not be Shannon because I put so much into this theory. You know?
That's really funny.
But I'm thinking about it, and she doesn't have parents. Like, she explicitly is an orphan. Or like, so it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume that, right?
It's a lot.
I don't know. In which case, she might be fully intending to encroach not on just the rights to his assets, but the battle over the headship as well. I see. I'm starting to see the purpose of this letter. The headship to the one who solves the Erecta's riddle. So that's what it means. I feel like Krauss is saying, "Ah, yes, I understand everything." Doesn't get it.
Yeah. He's always like that.
Even if the mistress obtained a rank within the Ushiromiya family, since she is not a direct relative of father, she would be inferior to even the children. In other words, you would be right below Rosa in rank. Damn! That's not a good position to join the battle for headship. That's it. If someone can solve the witch's riddle, they will receive the headship regardless of rank. In other words, it is the most advantageous condition that Beatrice could get. She had no chance whatsoever. The revival of the Ushiromiya family had been made possible by the gold Beatrice had bestowed. In other words, the credit belonged to her. She had built the wealth together with Kinzo, so it was natural she would have thought of herself as the one who should inherit it. Would also be natural for her to despise the thought of giving a single son to the children of the wife that Kinzo had never loved. How incredibly impertinent! Even if this mistress actually existed, for her to fight over the rights to the head's inheritance would be an outrageous action far above her place. Natsuhi, you don't matter to this family. Girl, you gotta stop simping for this family that does not give a shit about you.
Bro, Natsuhi's so funny.
What disregard for her own place. Natsuhi turned red, her fist quivering. I'll never let some filthy fucking outsider get a single red cent of, like, the Ushiromiya family's money, says the person who married in.
Yep.
There was also a complicated circumstance behind her entry into the Ushiromiya register. Those who knew understood that more or less why she was so angry for the sake of Kinzo's dead wife. Well, thanks to her outrageous action, and we now all have an even chance, right? And also, Father has given that outrageous action his own silent approval. Will the person who succeeds the Ushiromiya family be his mistress Beatrice, or one of us, who he may not love, but who do carry his blood? I think it's so funny how today's part of Umineko talks so much about a mom Ushiromiya and how much her kids think she was a fail woman. Yeah, I don't think anyone respects her. Like,
that's crazy.
It's crazy to think that, like, their mom was a Natsuhi. Like, Natsuhi and, like, mom Ushiromiya are the same person, basically.
A little bit, yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Happy Mother's Day. Moms are strong.
Happy Mother's Day.
Maybe he wants to make a struggle over that to see who is worthy. As Ava giggled roguishly, Krauss shrugged his shoulders and looked away. However, since it was the other party who brought up this condition, I wonder if that means that the other party has a significant advantage. That's a point, too. In the first place, if Beatrice meant the letter literally, then she's Father's alchemist. In other words, she's the manager of his gold. It wouldn't be strange at all if she knew where it was hidden, would it? What a bad joke this is. Oh, we're finally switching off the creepy track.
I know. I love the thinking track.
This was like so long on that track.
I know. They were changing spooky stories. Now they're thinking logically.
It's like she's given us a riddle that she knows the answer to. She'll probably show up rudely, say, "Hey, here's the answer, I'll take the headship now," and snatch everything away from us.
そうね。
That's right.
謎々
The
の
one who
出
sets the
題
riddle
者
always knows the
こ
answer.
れは
It's a good chance this is all a trap to steal everything from us.
そこまで考えるとそもそも彼女が本当に黄金を
If you think about it like that, does you start to doubt whether she has the gold in the first place? Why would she tell us about it? All she has to do is be silent and embezzle it.
確か
You're right.
におかしな
Doesn't make much sense. Indeed, it was just as they said. The epitaph showed the way to where the gold was hidden. Why would she challenge them to try to solve it? They actually did solve it. Wouldn't the gold be all be stolen? Could it be that this person was trying to stir the Sterlings up so they tried to solve the epitaph and would then snatch it up before they did solve it? I can't believe we're looping back around to, hey, we shouldn't do the epitaph. If we get another episode where we make absolutely zero progress into trying to solve the epitaph, I'm going to riot. This is fucked. That was a very reasonable guess.
いいえ
No,
チェス盤
if
を
you
ひっ
flip
くり
over the
返して考
chessboard, there
え
might be a
る
pretty good chance that they actually
と
do have the
黄金を実
gold.
際に持っている可能性は低くないかもしれない。どうしてそんな
How
こと
can you
が
be so
断言で
certain?
待て姉貴
Wait, Aniki?
キリエ
Kyrie, please keep talking. He's like, he hears his wife say chessboard, and he's like, okay, she's locked in. Everyone shut the fuck up.
He's like, my wife could never be wrong.
どうしてそう
Why do you think that?
だって
After all,
私たちは魔女の
do they
秘伝
really
なんていう
think that just telling us the
謎
answer to
々
the
の答えを
riddle in the
教えられ
witch's
た
epitaph
本気で後ろに
would seriously be enough for us
は
to hand over the
変です
headship of the Uchiromiya family?
謎々の
Are
答
we
え
be
に
so
感服
impressed
し
with the
て
answer
降
to
参
the
を
riddle that we just give up?
そらまあ
Well,
それも
that's
そう
true.
謎々の答えを
If they think we
教えられ
just
た
give it up
くらい
after
で
being told the answer to the
若
riddle,
徳を
they
はい
just say
どうぞ
that we
と
just
渡
say
すか
here you
っちゅう
go
た
and
ら
hand it over, then they got
そら
another thing
まあ
coming.
当然です
Of course.
後ろ宮家の家督を
I
そんな
love
程
this
度のことで
sprite.
譲ることがあるわ
I
けが
love
ない
this Natsuhi sprite.
Yeah?
She's like so,
So-
just her being like, I'm fucking tired, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck
This
up,
is
shut the fuck
her
up.
max migraine sprite.
Yes. The headship of the Ushiromiya family
This
is
is-
not something that can be handed over so easily.
This is actually what Barry looks like.
Yes, this is what Barry looks like when she's gnawing the door frame.
hmm
そういうことよ
That's exactly
い
it.
くら
No
ベア
matter
トリー
how
チェが
one-sided a
一方的に
game
こんな
Beatrice
ゲームを
proposes,
提案
and
し
even
て
if
も
she splendidly
そして
shows us the answer,
私たちは
there's no way
家
we'll
督を
immediately
譲る
hand
わ
over
け
the
がない
headship.
つまり
In other words,
私たち
that
は
unless
こ
there's
のゲー
something
ム
that
に
forcibly
対等な
compels
条
us to
件
play
で
the
挑ま
game
な
under
くては
fair
ならないこ
conditions,
のゲームは
this
成
game
立
won't
しない
function
の
as a game.
そうだね
That's right.
負けた時
Us losers are forcibly
これを譲るこ
compelled
とに強制力を持た
to
せ
hand
る
over the headship. The game doesn't work.
その強制力
And what would that compelling force be?
我々を下
Will
げ
they
てしま
bind
う
us in chains and threaten us into handing over the headship?
なる
Yes.
ほどね
I
わ
see.
かった
I
わ
get it.
私たちが
They would just have to do something which would make us willingly give up the headship.
なるほど
No, I see.
ならば確か
Then
に
yes, certainly, Beatrice would have to be in
ベアトリーチェは
possession of the
10
10
tons
tons
の
of
黄金を持っ
gold.
ていなければな
そう
Right, I get it too.
つまり
In other words, it's a trade,
取
right?
引っちゅうわけやな
Huh?
どういう意
What do
味
you
ですか
mean? Sorry, Natsuhi, you're just too much like their mom to get it.
Bro.
取引
A trade.
何を
Trade what?
後ろ宮家の家
The
督
Ushiromiya headship for the hidden gold.
ベアトリーチェは
Beatrice
10
surely
トンの
plans
黄
to
金
tell
の
us
所
the
在を
location of the
明かし
10 tons of gold,
そ
and
れで
use that as a
後ろ
bribe
宮
to
家
gain
の
the
家督を
Ushiromiya
買収
family
する
headship.
バカバカしい
Ridiculous!
栄光あ
They
る
want to
後ろ
trade
宮家の
succession of the
家督を
glorious Ushiromiya
お
family
金
for
でやり取りしようというのですか
money? And like Natsuhi, I can't wait for me to click, and then literally every single sibling in unison saying, "Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I don't give a shit about this family."
Hmm.
冒涜です
Blasphemy!
後ろ宮家への冒
Blasphemy
涜で
against
す
the Ushiromiya family.
怒らずに聞いて
So fucking crazy. Listen without
I
me.
love her.
Furious, like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Literally.
その栄光ある後ろ宮家
About how
の
much
今
wealth does the glorious
どの程
Ushiromiya
度の
family
財
have
産
right now?
私たちは
Are
そん
we
なにも
really
裕
that
福な
affluent?
裕福
The
の
definition of
定義は
affluence is not
財産で決まるの
dependent
ではあ
on
りません
property. Natsuhi's like, oh no, I've been blown away by people with money problems.
心の持ちよう
It's
で決まる
about heart. No one here gives... Natsuhi, you are literally the only person who gives even a single shit.
私たちの財
She's
産
so
状況が
delusional.
Of what relevance is our financial situation to? Krause interrupted Natsuhi as she started to go off emotionally. In this
Sounds about
situation,
right.
the more she went on and on emotionally, the worse it would actually sound for them. Myself aside, I have heard that the rest of you are in pretty unfavorable situations right now. Oh, really? Heard that your financial situation is extremely unfavorable, actually. Repeatedly exchanging collateral for new money to gamble with. Repeatedly gambling and gamble after gamble, unable to pay accept your losses. If you want to talk about the state of affairs, not one of us here is as impoverished as you, Nissan. All of us are broke as shit. We need money. How much have you lost, Nissan? You have no talent. Who are you saying has no talent?
We're back to the usual.
Yep, this is back to El Clasico. Natsu became indignant once again, but Kraus raised his hand again and interrupted her. Bro, this is humiliating. I like, Kraus dies so early so often, I keep forgetting just how genuinely, like humiliating it is for Natsuki all the time.
Yeah.
I don't... Is it fucked up to say that, like, I'm gonna be shocked if Kraus ever lives past the first night?
I think you said once before that you genuinely believe that Kraus will never get there.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think he has much of a purpose beyond, like, being this guy.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, who would want it, right?
Yeah. It seems you are making a small mistake. Business is not something that can be judged based simply on progress. When someone conducts business with a view to the long term as I do, it may appear at a glance that they have suffered some significant short-term losses. Actually, don't worry, it's all going to pay out. I've put us all... I spent the entire Ushiromiya family fortune to buy this digital picture of an ape. It's going to be worth billions.
He would.
He absolutely would have gotten in on NFTs, like, too late. We've been collecting evidence. Now it's not the time to be putting up a front. So this is what Kyrie is trying to say. Every last one of us is stuck for money. And Beatrice has 10 tons of gold. As the only person who knows the location of the 10 tons of gold, Beatrice is planning on using it to force it to sell the position the family had. And then, like, they're gonna wake up, and then, like, 8 people are, like... What is it, like, 8 people are gonna be dead? And they're gonna be like, oh, maybe we have misjudged the situation slightly. Oh.
A little bit.
Only 2? I'm waiting
I've
for
been
that third
sneezing in
one.
only 2 this past week and a half.
You are sick!
Am I?
Bless you. Yeah, you're sneezing in 2s? Yes. What years does this place in? Maybe he's investing in Beanie Babies? Yeah. About how much is 10 tons of gold worth? As a rough estimate, 2 billion yen? I like how, like, a ton of gold is, like, supposedly... wait, if that's the case, 10 tons of gold is worth... About 2... Like, a ton would be, like, 200 million? Yeah, like 200 million yen. That seems a little low, in my opinion, but...
Well, think about
20...
how much
okay.
it was for them.
Okay, never mind, actually. They're like, no, it's 2 billion yen a ton. That's like, no, that makes more sense to me. If she threw that much our way, she would be dumping for joy to accept her as the successor to the head. This makes so much sense before they all start getting murdered. The scene returned to silence. Even the wind and rain sounded louder. That was probably also the sound of the windstorm that had disturbed the insides of their mind. What are you talking about? It just got way quieter. You must be joking. I thought that just because you tossed me a little money... Ava, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I'd give up on the family headship to some woman of doubtful origin? Wasn't she just making fun of Natsuhi for this exact fucking statement in emotion? Don't talk stupid. You weren't even going to succeed father as the head in the first place. Jesus.
Damn.
Holy shit, Hideyoshi. What the? This is the first time I've ever seen them disagree like this. We got nothing to lose and money to gain. Sure, we'll have to calculate our profit and loss, but it's something worth listening to. They knew that much of the Ushiromiya family. They knew that much of the Ushiromiya family assets had been eaten up by Kraus. The drugs that remained of the inheritance versus the compensation for being accepted at the head that Beatrice would pay. It was a shame, but honestly, the former was less enticing than the latter. Yeah, it probably wouldn't end up as 4 equal portions. Since Sanaki would probably be giving up his position of successor, his portion would have to be larger. Rudolph, shut the fuck up. Why would you do this? Why would you say this?
Because it was gonna get there no matter what.
I guess. It makes me feel kind of jealous, you know? Dear,
金額の問
the
題
amount
じゃ
of
ない
money
で
isn't
しょ
the problem, right?
不甲斐ない弟
Your
たち
cowardly younger
お
siblings
金
are
で
trying to
後
sell
ろ
the
宮家の
glory
栄
of the
光を売り
Ushiromiya
払う
family
つ
for
もりなの
money.
ですよ
She thinks she's part of the conversation so bad.
I feel in my heart that Kraus is like 2 seconds from genuinely backhanding this woman.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad tense situation right now.
This,
Like,
like-
even Hideyoshi and Ava like disagreeing is kind of.
Yeah, that's like fucking crazy. I saw that, and like clearly this is supposed to be like her arc of like, you know, like how she can't let go of the idea of wanting to be the head and succeed, and like there's this like idea of like, if I can do this, then I'll finally be accepted as a competent individual by like the people who never respected me or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, to have Hideyoshi just be like, "You are fucking wrong, shut up," is like crazy.
Yeah.
ここで
Yeah.
長男の威厳
Why
を
aren't you
示さず
displaying
して
your dignity
何
as
と
the
するので
eldest
す
son?
夏希
Natsuki,
しばらく黙って
stay
いな
quiet
さい
for a while. This is like, ooh.
あなた
Dear. This is almost as... This is
This,
like as
this is
clo-
rough.
This is like genuinely as close as a backhand as like it's gonna happen. Like, this is like the emotional
Yeah.
equivalent of getting backhanded in front of everyone.
こりゃクラッとくる話
This is Kraus saying like, "Shut the fuck up. You don't matter. You do not have a voice at this table. Why are you talking?"
Yeah.
This is a
Because she
dizzying-
really doesn't in their eyes.
No, not at all. Like, Hideyoshi has more of a seat at this table than she does.
Mm.
This is Kyrie definitely does because she's competent. This is a dizzying proposal.
俺たちは兄貴
We
か
were
ら
each planning on getting
2億
250
半
million
ずつ
yen
引っ
after
張ろうと思って
Anki.
た
And like, I want Kraus to be like, "Hey," and then he's like Rudolph's just like, "Fucking whatever, man. What do you want from us? That's what we were planning."
Hmm.
もし魔
If
女
the
さん
witch
が
would
俺
treat
た
us
ち
with
に
even 10% of those 10
10トンのう
tons,
ちの1割も弾んでくれたなら
20億ね
that's 2 billion.
ああ
Yeah. I'm so glad
It
my
is-
wife can do math and I can't.
It is it is always kind of like fascinating because it's like it's a thing where you say where it's like you kind of forget how characters are like Kraus because like they die so early.
Mhm.
You kind of forget how like kind of sensible Rudolph can sound
Yeah.
compared to the rest of his siblings because
Yeah.
he just keeps also dying off so early.
Yeah, no, he's like, he is very much like I mean, I was joking that like, you know, like Kyrie is much more like Battler is much more like Kyrie than his father, but like I do genuinely see a lot of like Rudolph in Battler, but it's just like we've
Yeah.
never really seen him enough to like kind of have that stay in the brain. But like
Yeah.
Rudolph's like the only thing that I keep waiting to hear what happened with like Battler's mom, because clearly something fucking evil happened.
Well, Rudolph seems like a genuinely like kind boss in a way where he gets along with his employees and like he's so chill with like his wife, and it's just like with a guy that seems like everyone kind of likes him other than like his siblings. I mean, like his siblings, like they seem to get along.
Yeah,
for the most part with
the
him
only
better
thing-
than Kraus.
the only kind of thing that
Um,
we've seen from Rudolph that's like it's really fucked up that he anything that he did was fucked up was like the fact that he like was like the worst one to Rosa.
Yeah. But it's just like it makes you really wonder, like in comparison, it's just like, well, what the fuck did he do?
Because Because clearly he did something. None of these motherfuckers are free of sin, but
Yeah.
man, I'm just like 2% of 20 billion, like 10% of 20 billion is it's like two billion, honey. It's like yeah, thanks.
Good job.
Man,
Good job.
just sitting here
Yeah.
thinking about how uninterested I would be in Kraus living versus how desperately I want Rudolph to live so we can know what the fuck finally happened. Like this is clearly the Ava episode. Like that's gonna happen. But next one better be the Rudolph or Kyrie episode. Cause
Oh my
I
god, the
think
Kyrie crash out would be crazy.
Kyrie crash out would be crazy, but like part of me is like in my heart convinced like if like Kyrie had the gun, it would be solved in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
She would think about it she would just sit there with she would hold the gun in the parlor for like 15 minutes. She would just kind of like okay and then nod to herself and shoot one person and it would be over. I guess he cheated on his wife and Battler can't forgive him, but it could be so many things. I do think that like I do remember like they got married like incredibly quickly after like Battler's mom died.
That is like the implication, yeah.
But so like
It's probably it.
I'm assuming that there is like some sort of like a mistress situation going on there. But like it's gotta be just more than that, like, right? Cause like that's too reasonable. That's like not enough. Like Umineko characters when they're fucked up, like you don't have like Ava like being like how she is to Shannon and like George's relationship, and you don't have like Rosa beating Maria, and like you can't just get away with he cheated on my mom. I don't know. Anyways, that would mean she's treating us with the 10 times our original goal. That alone would be more than enough for us. It's like I have any attachment to the Ishiromiya name. Yeah, like he's like, I don't give a shit about this fucking family. This family sucks. I'd be happy to sell it off. Even if the full 10 tons might be a bit much to expect. I see, it would still be an attractive prospect for us. We were trying to form an alliance among the siblings to kick the outsider called Beatrice out. But if this is our plan, it will tear apart the unity between us. Yes, by the point we can state it clearly. The goal of Beatrice's letter was to disturb our alliance. And then they all died.
To be honest.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're still alive.
Yeah, like this is like I think this is like the most we've ever got about their plotting before like, hey, they're all dead.
Yeah.
If the three younger siblings, who were never going to have any connection with the succession of the headship in the first place, were paid enough money to satisfy them, they would happily accept Beatrice as the next head. So the obstacle to their headship would be removed except for Kraus. In that case, this track goes hard. I really love that, like the little like light symbol in the background. In that case, the negotiation would be one-on-one between her and Kraus. He tried to look strong, but Kraus's financial and political situation was extremely weak. He did bluff in front of his siblings, but on the inside, he was probably thinking that it would be alright to enter negotiations depending on the sum of money involved. In order to bury his losses, Kraus had taken advantage of the fact that Kinzo had shut himself up in the room and had embezzled Kinzo's personal assets. Therefore, when Kinzo died and the inheritance was distributed, Kraus would have to be held to account for that. If he gave up his seat to the head to the Beatrice, she would also receive the rights to the asset, and as a result, the distribution of the inheritance to the siblings would not occur. In other words, Kraus's embezzlement might not have to be made known to the other siblings. Of course, the siblings were frightened of Kinzo, but it was doubtful whether they still actually respected him as a father. Do you think Kinzo would have like Maria if she was a boy with hyperfixation on witchcraft? I'm kind of like shocked that they're not tighter. I think it's one of those things. By the time like Maria was old enough to like care about the occult and witches, like he had already just completely written the family off. Like he was just not going to interact with them in any way, shape, or form. I think that if Maria had like been born first, like if somehow Maria had been like born when George was born, I think that Kinzo and Maria would genuinely be the closest two people in this whole family.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
But it was doubtful whether or not they still respected him as a father. By this time, they each had their own families, their own wealth, and their own lives. They were paid enough money in exchange for Rokunjima, the wreck remains of Kinzo's dreams. There was a significant possibility that they would relinquish the Ishiromiya family name. In other words, Beatrice's victory was already guaranteed in this game. Not as the winner of Beatrice's game, but as the winner of Kinzo's game. Kinzo had put up the epitaph, and to this day no one had been able to solve it. So Beatrice had solved it. In other words, this is less of a game and more of Beatrice's declaration of victory. However, Kyrie still felt something was slightly out of place. Given the fact that most of them would be dead in the morning, she was right. If this was a declaration of victory, Beatrice would have only had to display the gold openly and state that she would buy the family headship. And yet, even at this late stage, she was explicitly telling the siblings to try and solve the epitaph. Why had she set up this new game, where she agreed to hand over all the gold and the right to succeed the head to the person who solved the epitaph? Kyrie tried flipping over the chessboard several times, searching for the best strategy that might have guided Beatrice to this line of thinking. I think it is really funny that, like, yeah, the reason why this doesn't work on Beatrice is because Beatrice will just do some shit just to do some shit. She doesn't make optimal plays. She makes the plays that are fun to her.
Mm.
In the end, she reached a single conclusion. Arrogance, perhaps. Or maybe she's playing? Oh, she did actually come to the conclusion that she's just like, yeah, this is just, she's just fucking around. She's just having a good time.
Hmm.
What are you talking about? The witch sent us a letter of challenge, trying to tell us to solve the epitaph. She might be taking us lightly, thinking we could never solve it. However, there should be at least an extremely small chance that we will solve it. After all, we have here 4 of Father's children by blood, right? 4 people related by blood to the questioner, who, if they tried frantically to work together and avoid having these assets stolen, if they frantically tried to work together and avoid having those assets stolen from them, might come across the answer of the riddle by chance. The reason the witch had a superior position on the negotiations compared to the siblings was that only she knew the location of the hidden gold. But if that hiding place were to be exposed to someone other than her, the witch's superior position would crumble. In short, Beatrice gains nothing but risk by writing this witch's letter of challenge. Of course, it might have had the effect of splitting apart the siblings' alliance, but if that was her only goal, then why would she take this risk, however slight it might be? I think that's reckless. But if you keep in mind a certain type of emotion, it becomes possible to understand that risk. And you're saying that's arrogance. Ooh. Yes, that's right. Loud-ass fucking organ. Holy shit.
Yep.
When people have an overwhelming advantage, they tend to get arrogant. And when they do, they sometimes deliberately take on small risks to show off that advantage to losers. A moderate amount of risk adds a little spice to the joy of victory. Nothing is as boring as victory without risk. This is... I can't believe Kyrie has absolutely just immediately pinned Beatrice without ever having met her.
She's so smart.
I feel like if like Kyrie had been the one in Battler's position, she would have just been like, yeah, I won like episode 2.
Yeah.
I understand that. I also like that sort of thing. I understand well. Like, I'm also a vain and arrogant bitch. I get it. I tried thinking of a few other possible explanations for the true motive behind Beatrice's letter, but I think that this really might be the truth. The emotion hidden behind that letter was arrogance. Arrogance. She's trying to throw her weight around, looking down on us, as if there's no way we could figure out such a difficult epitaph. It might even be possible, surprising that epitaph wasn't written by Father, but by her. Ooh. Ooh, that's a possibility. Fine by me. Solve the riddle of the epitaph, she says. Yeah!
Yeah!
It's... Why are her eyes different color?
What do you mean?
She's got, like, blue eyes as a younger woman, and then, like, it's, like, purplish. Like a purple-gray as an adult.
I don't know.
If only I'd solved it, I'd be made the head, right? I'll solve it. I'll accept the witch's challenge. As if my other brain-dead siblings could solve it. I'll solve it by myself, then I'll prove that I am the one who's fit to succeed the Ishiromiya family. I do appreciate that, like, Ava has never really let go of this part of herself. I think
Yeah.
this kind of glimpse into her character explains so much about who she is and why she is the way she is.
Thinking about her little flower earrings.
It seems kind of weird. I know the eyes color change, but it usually happens for kids or teens. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you see, look, her eyes are completely different color.
乗ったわ
Maybe her eyes just match whatever she's wearing,
Maybe. I'll take that challenge.
design-wise.
I will. Solve the riddle.
They're definitely a lot more muted here.
Oh,
But they also
absolutely.
kind of look purple.
Yeah, they're like purple and gray. I will definitely solve the riddle. Everyone is dead. Battler's just like in the tea room going like, "What the fuck do you mean I never thought that somebody could just be living on the island?" I see. So not a witch, but a mistress by the name of Beatrice did exist in this island. So there can be more than 18 people. He really is going that, huh? Goddamn. Which means I can defeat the line of reasoning that says that it was impossible for all 18 people. It must be a crime involving magic. That's some big information. Beatrice is like, oh, don't worry, I'm going to fuck you over with this. Oh, I forgot about you, Renove.
How could you?
This fucking asshole. This dude out of nowhere. This black butler with a mustache-looking motherfucker. Battler-sama, would you care for some black tea and cookies? Obito's butler,
love
who
that.
called himself Renove. I don't know how to pronounce that. Renove, I guess? Appeared out of nowhere in
I don't
particular.
know either.
Placed upon the silver tray that was held was a plate filled with delicious-looking steaming black tea and cookies. I don't really like this guy's smile. For some reason, it doesn't look like a smile used to warmly greet a guest. Feels like he's making fun of me for some reason. It's because he is. You're very easy to make fun of, Battler. I don't know whether he really takes me for an idiot, or whether it's just a joke or something, but it's really irritating me. You're all of these things, Battler. I don't want any. Busy right now. Leave me alone. Oh my, that is a shame. The cookies have turned out oh so very delicious. Cooked so wonderfully, it's a shame to waste them on simply human, truly wonderful cookies. I'll eat some when I feel like it. Set it down somewhere over there and get out of here. Will that be acceptable? Then I shall do so. You may eat them when they get cold and stale, and then regret as much as you like that you do not eat them when they were freshly baked. You really are annoying. I do really like the click. Like the... You really suck. Well, you're a lot better than that Bito who keeps doing that creepy cackle right next to my ear. I feel like I'm gonna click the button, and then Bito's going to appear. Oh. Yes, that is quite true. She was like, yeah, she does suck. She does that a lot.
I love his monocle having a little anime wing.
Yeah. There are times when Milady's laughter becomes quite undignified. Every time I hear it, I think of my noble rank and struggle to comprehend why I must have such a person as my master. I genuinely...
He's so sassy.
I genuinely feel if he wasn't like... If Renove wasn't just like, God, fucking human or whatever, like, I think he and Battler would get along really well.
There's still chance, maybe?
Man, you're weird. If you don't like it, then can you just not work for her? To continue serving despite that is furniture's joy. Is it? One could not serve his furniture without such an attitude. Let us set that aside. How is the game proceeding? Just now, I believe that I heard you say that you had found some good information and were quite pleased by it. Well now, I wonder what your shallow wit has thought of. As Renove made fun of me and giggled. He followed my earlier words to the letter and placed the black tea and cookies somewhere arbitrary nearby. I imagine it's because you have gained increased confidence in the existence of a 19th person. Would you be gracious enough to allow me to hear your opinion? Battler's like... I can feel Battler thinking, should I really do this? He's technically a servant of Beatrice, but then he's like, no, I want to fucking say it. I want to say it out loud. I'm so fucking pumped. I'm just gonna say it again in front of Bito anyways. No reason to hide it. Alright. Looks like there's a hidden mansion somewhere on the island, and Grandfather had his mistress living there. In that case, the question that's been torturing me about whether there are 18 or 19 people can be easily resolved. Although you deny witches, you hold a double standard by refusing to seek a culprit among the 18 and have driven yourself into a dead end. The easiest way to deny the witch would be to doubt one of the 18. It's not so easy for every one of the 18 to have an alibi. You always find at least one person with a fragile alibi. I could probably continue to deny the witch forever if I just use that person as a sacrifice. However, I will steadfastly refuse to do that. Yeah, that's no good. That's no goddamn good at all. Every one of those 18 people is either a parent, a relative, or a cousin to me. Even like, fucking Goda and
Tomosawa-san?
yeah, like, if I'm right, then maybe Shannon, but which, once again, I must say, if that is the case, incest all the way down. If I'm right about the split personality thing, and if I'm right about Shannon being, like, a descendant of that, like, mistress, then incest with George.
You want to be right at that point, now that we have this angle?
We see, I can still believe in the timeline where it's just like, it's just magic and Beatrice is like this timeless witch or whatever. So then, that way, when she steps on his balls, it's not incest.
It's so fucking done.
Kumasawa is like an aunt or grandmother relationship, yeah. What? What, you got something to say?
Nothing.
It's totally.
You're funny.
It's Schroeder's timeline. Whenever I'm like whenever I get like really fucked up by like a thing that happens in like one timeline, I can be like, okay, but this is the one that I actually care about, though.
You're funny.
And those reliable servants who are sometimes serious and sometimes funny. Oh, okay. I won't let myself use any one of them as a sacrifice. In the past, my resolve wavered. That's how Bito hit me where my heart was weak. Accepting and understanding your own weaknesses. That's not something that which can be often accomplished. Okay, but George immediately rescinds his proposal when he finds out that it might be the only... Okay, but George immediately rescinds his proposal when he finds out, though, it might be the only way to stop him.
What if George is into it?
Well, then we kill him.
God.
I'm dating... Shannon...
Yeah?
In that theory, Shannon has so many hands.
Hands.
Shannon has 3 hands, and all of them are incestuous.
Yuck.
Yep.
Ew.
Yep.
I don't like this.
Battler-sama, you were using this theory about a 19th person as a spear. Or should I say a shield? Anyway. In any event, unlike how unprepared you were in the games up until now, let us call the fact that you now have a compass bearing forward, compass bearing on how to fight a dramatic leap forward. Besides, I'm choosing to, like, obviously, like, incest is, like, personally repugnant to me, but, like, Japan has a thing, like, no, cousins are totally fair game. So, like, this idea of, like, a mistress, like, 2 generations removed, and, like, being a descendant of that way, I feel like that falls outside of the traditional Japanese view of, like, what incest actually constitutes. Which is, like, still fucked up. But, like, it's not... I'm gonna try to see it through that lens, I guess.
I guess. I kind of forget. I choose to forget that.
That Japan is like that? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Dramatically forward. With this, you need not doubt any of the 18 you love and respect, and can easily suspect a 19th person and pursue your theory that the culprit is a human. That's it exactly! Like in the first game, when Cannon was killed in the boiler room, and a bunch of other places, there are countless tricks that I can use without hesitation if a 19th person existed. I feel like Vernova's about to say something to make Battler start crying.
He could, probably. He gives off that energy.
In the very first game, Kanokun had been killed in the boiler room. One might think that he was attacked by Kumasawa-san, who had gone down to the boiler room with him. Or maybe that somebody who had appeared to be dead earlier was actually faking, and an ambush cannon pit in the boiler room. Either way, it was a move that forced me to suspect one of the 18. However, by simply proposing a 19th person exists, there's no longer any need to suspect one of them, the 18, for the murder in the boiler room. I guess, even if that my theory is true, I guess that does mean that there really is only, like, 18 people on the island. Or, like, I guess maybe even less if you're counting, like, Cannon and Shannon and Beatrice as the same person. So I guess there would be 17.
17 people.
Although, once again, the only hang-up is, like, Cannon and Shannon doing separate things in separate places and being physically present in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Impossible for any of the 18 equals the culpable witch is an equation that I can now deny. Using this argument, we can, for example, we can take, for example, the question which has been raised once again in this game: who gave Maria the letter? And come up with an easy explanation. I can't wait for Beatrice to pop in, say say like there are only 18 people on the island in red, and then leave.
Bro,
like no, nothing else, nothing else.
That is like a card that she would like sit on for real.
Oh yeah, no, she's gonna hold on to that until like she's like, he's like, I got it, I finally figured it all out. There are only 18 people on the island, and then he just starts crying.
Yeah.
Just fuck him over, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for switching to red for that, Dagger. I appreciate that. Even if all 18 people have alibis, I can easily explain everything by saying that a 19th person visited her and gave her the letter. I think that's quite a good move. How would I strike back? I understand, but despite your understanding, there are still plenty of weak points. Perhaps the 18 people attack will be a more effective move. As an attempt to judge how strong your defense is, it may be interesting to attack from that angle again. And how would you do it, Demon Butler? Oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna say it in red. I would believe it would be appropriate to attack this 19th piece that you have played. Butler-sama, have you ever met this 19th person? He asked you for some proof that this 19th person exists. How naive. Of course I know you'd probably try that move. My. Please respond to it. Witches and demons and the like. There's no more appropriate move than this one. And that is... the Devil's Proof. Well, yeah, but, like, she literally gave you a tool to be like, no, we're avoiding this Devil's Proof shit. This stuff sucks. When we humans are accused of something, we always counterattack by saying show some evidence, because that's a human move. But I'm fighting with a witch. I'm taking part in a battle with someone who isn't human. And some moves exist which will only be used in a game against a witch. Those are cheat moves, and that's what this Devil's Proof is. Therefore, evidence is unnecessary. Let's take the assumption... I don't need to prove shit! It's not magic!
God.
Let's take the assumption that there is a hidden mansion on the Rokushima separate from the Ushiromiya family mansion, and a woman named Beatrice is living there. In order to prove this, one must find the mansion and actually bring Beatrice out of it. There's actual proof. It's called actual proof in the human world. However, if we follow the rules of the Devil's Proof, you can't disprove that she exists, even if there's no evidence that she does. Because it's impossible to prove something that doesn't exist. That's right, this Devil's Proof, which tormented me so much before, I finally managed to use it to my own advantage. You did this before! You used it to your advantage before, and then, like, fucking... Battler, you got fucked over so hard by leaning on this! Have you learned nothing? Yep.
No.
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 Those guys were always trying to force me to accept the existence of the witch by using the Devil's Proof. That was because, in response to Vito's professions that witches do exist, I physically could not offer any proof that witches don't exist. That's why I've been subjected to this nonsense about witches exist, and why I've been unable to counterattack. That's why I'll flip over the chessboard right now. If I can't prove that witches exist, then that means... He's so stupid.
Yeah, isn't he great?
He is. He's so delightful. If I suggest that a 19th person human exists, you can't disprove that either. In other words, the enigmatic mistress in question is craftily hiding herself, so it's perfectly natural that you can never find her no matter how hard you look. So you can't say the 19th person can't be found equals the 19th person doesn't exist. Therefore, it is impossible
Oh,
to disprove
Jesus.
a 19th person. Vito used the
That
devil's
lady
proof to
looking
make
sick.
denying her existence impossible. But this time, it's become my weapon. We can get away with this argument. Never mind a 19th person. This island could be full of people we don't know about. I love it. He just wants to write all this off as a fever dream. He's just so delusional.
Yep.
This really does feel like if you could see him right now, there would be like swirls in his eyes. Like even if there are 10 or 100 of them hiding, she still can't disprove that they exist. In the last game and the one before that, among the murder scenes that showed up, there were several that are extremely intricate and must have taken a lot of effort to set up. It's very difficult to imagine that a single culprit could have set all those up. However, if not just a 19th person, but 10 or 100 people were hidden somewhere, that wouldn't be any problem at all. They all split up the work, they could handle any job in a short period of time. Of course, doubts would naturally arise of whether a large group of people like that could sneak around the mansion without being noticed. But all of those are settled by the devil's proof. This is literally like she's gonna be like, did you forget about fucking saying things in red? Fuck you. 18 people. Die. Because not seeing or noticing 100 people inside the mansion does not disprove that they were there. You're a fucking psych. Even though I'm saying it myself, it's such a stupid argument that it makes me want to throw up. It feels like a child. It feels like you're arguing with a fucking 5-year-old.
He's so fucking stupid.
However, it's because it's such a dirty as hell move that makes it the perfect one to use against a witch. Well, we're only imagining here, but the thought of 100 suspicious people men wearing goat masks hiding in the shadows, that goes beyond funny. It makes you think of cockroaches. If you see one, that means there's 100 hiding in the shadows. Well, I do think this is a horrible argument that's horribly twisted. The ridiculous argument that's horribly twisted. If my opponent was human, I'm sure they'd yell at me like I was out of my mind. You are. But my opponent is a witch. Like, Battler's eyes are more similar to Child Ava's than like Child Ava's are to Ava. After all, this is that kind of competition we're having, isn't it? I use any kind of reckless argument to explain it using humans to deny the witch. Wait a second. Wait a second. I wish I could zoom in on her eyes.
Why?
Because I think that her eyes match Beatrice's. Like Child Ava's. Because I was like, Ava has blue eyes too. Oh, and once again, Shannon's eyes, Beatrice's eyes, dead match. Same with Canon.
You know who also has blue eyes?
Who?
Ronove.
Nope. I can't believe.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'll look it up.
I can't believe Renove is just Battler with mental illness. This is the person that got his ball stepped on too hard.
Yo.
He got his ball stepped on so hard he grew a mustache. Anyway, so this move, I'll never again have to doubt any of the 18 who were close to me. I will never again repeat the defeat I suffered last time. Once again, 18 people on this island. I see, you have learned from your defeat last time. That is good. There's no surprise that by the third game you have become quite devious. You first strengthen your own defense. That is truly a solid first step. Quite a spectacular move, I think. Well, even if we do assume that there's a 19th person, there are still a few tricks left that I can't get past no matter how many humans I add, like the number of master keys. Still, it isn't bad as a first step for the time being. This is your trump card, the important piece known as the 19th person. You countered my move of asking for evidence by using the devil's move. A good skirmish. Though I have no excuse for making moves myself when Lady is absent. I find that I too have become slightly interested. Wonder if you would permit me to make yet another move on the lady's behalf. Go for it. I don't care if you're a witch or a demon, I'll take you all on. The move that you've made, the Devil's Proof, is especially of us demons, but there are also various other moves available to us. You know of a move called Hempel's Raven? Oh god.
Yeah.
Hempel's Raven? What are you talking about? Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Run away. Ronove.
Just then, Ronove. That laugh, which gets on my nerves every time I hear it, started echoing around.
Yay!
Hooray!
We got our girl.
The room was filled with dazzling
That
golden
face.
butterflies. Just hitting us with this right away is so good. And in the center of that
Yeah.
whirlwind, the golden witch appeared. Hi, it is a milady. Good morning. I thought you might be doing something interesting while I was away. Yeah, her eyes are way closer to like child Ava's. Is it like a witch's blue eyes?
I don't actually know.
Ample's Raven, was it? Because it was like, I felt it was like Ava like had the potential to be a witch. I think that was like the kind of the conclusion that we came to. Like
Yeah.
Ava was like in the process of becoming a witch, and then she kind of like let it go. And I think that maybe that's why her eyes changed. I wish I could go back and see what like old Beatrice's eye color was, but she's not on this list.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Ample's Raven, was it? What an amusing and nostalgic move. I think the day would come where it would be introduced to Battler. It's a classic move to use against the Devil's Crew. Oh, Ro no
No,
way.
she just said
Yeah, I will make this move.
I was right, at least
Yeah.
in my studies.
Do not get in the way of my fun. So you finally showed up, you guffawing witch. I see you still have that undignified laugh. Please do not act like she was not stepping all over your balls like 5 minutes ago. Battler, come on. This guy was talking behind your back just now, telling me about how you're laughing lacks class. He immediately snitches too. What an ass! What a dick!
Yep.
Right? I am offended. Is that true? By no means. I only have words of the highest heartfelt respect for my lady. Why would I speak such gossip? I can't believe you can say that so brazenly. Doesn't it look like we'll be getting along well together? Beatrice is like, this is funny. They're funny. I'm glad Renove's back. Oh, that's fine. Let's return to the conversation. Ample's Raven is used to show proof using the contrapositive. Essentially, it's a move like this. What must you do to prove that ravens are black? Huh? What are you talking about? Prove that ravens are black? Wouldn't you just have to catch the ravens and check if they're black? That's right. You must simply prove that if it is a raven, it is black. And you see that if you prove that if a bird is not black, it is not a raven, you would reach the same argument. You can go throughout the world and examine all birds that are not ravens, and prove that none of them are black. There are plenty of birds that are not ravens that are black, though. Then as a result, you can claim that, therefore, birds that are black are ravens. This is an argument, this is called an argument by the contrapositive. Is that difficult for you? I get it. I think I get it. Yeah, no kidding. I have no idea what you're saying. I think I get it, but like I feel like that was like a bad example to use, because like there are plenty of birds that are black. That aren't ravens, I mean. Battler son, what about this example? Let us say you have two boxes, and one of them is a winner with a cookie inside. Of course, the other one is a loser and is empty. Oh, okay, I see. So, like, by showing, like, the one that's a loser, you can say that the other one is a winner. By proving that you have the opposite, that you can show, okay. For example, let's say we have two boxes here, one being a winner with a cookie inside, and the other being a loser, which is empty. Now, it holds that if there is a cookie inside, it's the winner. And at the same time, it also holds that if it is not the winner, there is no cookie inside. When such a relationship exists, we call the latter the contrapositive. If A, then B is true, then at the same time, if not B, then not A is also true. Well, that's obvious. The one you picked was a loser, then you automatically know that the other one was the winner. In other words, you chose the box at random, whether it's the winner or the loser. You'll be able to figure out which box has the cookie in it after your first move. That's correct. If the cookie in the box you open, then the devil's proof is satisfied. You can prove directly that this box is the winner equals this box is a cookie in it. However, if the box you open is empty, then that in reverse, Ample's Raven is satisfied. Because then it holds that this box does not have a cookie in it equals this box is not the winner. That means, as long as we accept the premise that there are no more than two boxes, the contrapositive shows that the other box is automatically the winner. Well, I think I'm starting to see your reasoning. Only poison can stop poison, and only twisted logic can stop twisted logic. Then what? How does that overturn my claim that no doubt there is a 19th human hidden on the island? Even if all of the 18 people have alibis, that does not amount to an acceptance of witches. Very well. I will tell you my move. First of all, you are stating that if the culprit is not among the 18, the culprit is a 19th person. This really does feel like we're just settling down for like a session of debate club.
That's what this is, baby.
Yep. This is just like Ryukishi being like, I really missed debate club in college. So if you use the contrapositive, it ends up like this. In short, if the culprit is not a 19th person, then the culprit is one of the 18. Ah, shit. What? What does that mean? All I've done is return your move on its head. It shouldn't be that difficult to understand. Ronove, explain. Seems your cookie in a box analogy from before will be easy for Battler to understand. He's a man. He thinks with his stomach. Food. He's practically American. Food metaphors. And forgive my presumption. Allow me to explain using my earlier example once more. Allow me to repeat once more my earlier story about the two treasure chests, one of which has a cookie in it. In this situation, one of the boxes represents the 18 people, and the other box represents the 19th person. So the cookie would represent the culprit. Battler-sama, you open the 18 box. Because the cookie is not there, you have proven the opposite direction that therefore the cookie is in the 19 box. In that case, to reverse things, we can also say the following. Namely, if it was first shown that the 19 box was empty, it would prove in just the same way that the cookie is in the 18 box. Battler-sama, this move you played in order to avoid having any doubt of the 18 has in fact been used against you to launch the 18-person attack. What did you say? I really want, at some point, one of Beatrice's plays to just completely not work because Battler's just too dumb to understand it. Like, he's just like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. That doesn't mean anything to me. If I go first and prove that the inside of the 19 box is empty, automatically you will be forced to accept the cookie. The 18 box. Well, that's not necessarily true though, because like the whole point of his devil's proof is that there could be any number of people on the island that he doesn't know about. Essentially, he could just make infinite boxes. So I don't know. Hey, thank you for the follow, Hitoshura. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I love me some SMT3 Nocturne.
What?
Oh, Hitoshura is like the Japanese name for the Demi-Fiend, which is the protagonist of like SMT3 Nocturne.
Oh.
He's a young man with a tremendous amount of aura.
Cool.
Alright. All you have done is say this the other way around, you see? So, if that move I was so confident in was actually a double-edged sword. That's right. His brain is like working overtime right now. You can see the steam coming out from his ears.
Me.
Your move to explain everything with 19th person carries the risk that if it's thwarted, you will be forced to accept that you can only explain it by things using the 18. First person who recognizes the name when I follow them out. Listen, I get it. I mean, it's also like the Japanese name for it, so you know, it's a subset of a subset here. But hey, it's good to have you around. Thanks for the follow.
That's very smart.
I'm trying.
Big forehead.
I'm just like sitting here like the Hempel's Raven thing is interesting, but once again, I don't actually think it like fights anything in this. Because, like, the whole point of, like, Battler's argument is that, you know, I can make infinite boxes.
But I think, at the end of the day, they have to come to a conclusion no matter what.
Right. But, alright, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna grab a drink. My throat is dry as hell right now. I've been doing so much talking.
Go ahead. My stream now. Hee 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 hee. Hi. How are you? Did everyone have a good weekend? Very nice, very nice. I've run out of talking points. That help. Help.
I leave you. I think that was about 5 seconds before you gave up.
Good morning, Crackly.
Good morning, correctly. How we doing?
Or afternoon at this point.
So this is a countering technique? Wait, if I really think about it, this countering technique is far more disadvantageous for me than her. I don't actually know about that. Once again, infinite boxes. The problem is thinking about it like a cookie. I gotta stop using these food metaphors. If I imagine that just one of the treasure chests is losing chest with a bomb in it, I can begin to understand it quite well. He's like, no, I need to think of a bomb. If I think of it not as 2 treasure chests, but as 18, one for each person, plus 1 more for the 19th person, for a total of 19 boxes, it gets even easier to understand. First of all, one of the premises established in by the human culprit theory is that the bomb must definitely be in one of those boxes. Because I hadn't wanted to place that bomb in any of the 18th boxes, I had used the Devil's Brew and created the 19th box so that I could throw the bomb in there. That much was alright. But Bito had struck back like this. Then the 19th box is empty inside. That would automatically mean that the bomb was set in one of the other 18 boxes. If I could examine the contents of each of the 18 boxes and show that the bomb was not in any of those boxes, I would be able to safely show that the 18 people were innocent. If that were possible, I would be
need
feeling
them to shut
confidence.
up.
However, in reality, that's as close as you can get to impossible. The police wouldn't come here in this typhoon. There would be no scientific investigations, no autopsies, no nothing. In short, I can't show anything decisively. It's impossible for me to find any other proof other than simply gulping down whichever of the alibis the 18 give. In that case, I have to confirm their innocence both personally and perfectly. Like staying with someone the whole time, never letting them out of my sight for a second. If I do that, I can probably be sure of that person's innocence, and that bomb is not in the bomb is not in that box. However, in reality, something like that is impossible. In other words, I have to expend an incredible effort just to check the contents of one box, and there are 18 of them. In other words, unless I blind all 18 of them and change and watch over them, it's impossible to prove that that all of them have empty boxes. However, Bito only has to open one box, the 19th box, and show that it is empty to prove that the bomb is one of the other 18 boxes. Once again, make infinite boxes. You just got finished saying that maybe there's like 10 to 100 people there. Just say that there are 10 to 100. Make her open as many boxes as it takes. Furthermore, there's no need for her to show which of the 18 boxes have the bomb. I have 18 times more work to do than to explain my pet theory than Bito does for hers. Just as you know from the Devil's Fruit, there are many cases in the world where refuting something would take a vast amount of effort that is impossible in practice. However, Temple Ravens turns that problem around and makes it impossible to prove things easily. By using Hempel's Raven, various reckless arguments have become possible to prove. For example, let us say that I make the proposition that all humans except me are foolish. Normally, in order to prove this, I would just have to examine all humanity except myself and show that they are all foolish. However, in reality, it would be impossible to investigate billions of people. It is exactly the same kind of effort that you would need to open 18 boxes. However, by using Hempel's Raven, the contrapositive of that presupposition would change it to as follows. Essentially take, all humans except me are foolish, and use your style of phrase, flip over the chessboard, and you merely need to prove that not foolish equals me. And what do you think that means? Well, once again, it's that sort of thing where they're like, all ravens are black, therefore, if you're not black, you're not a raven. But there are plenty of ravens that are black that happen to also not be ravens. Like, your contrapositive proof is like, it's just wrong most of the time. It's like, it's not like a misunderstanding of how it is. It's just like, that's just not how reality works, I guess. As soon as I know the fact that I am wise, I finish proving in an instant that every one of the billions of people in the human race are foolish. In less than a second, I can finish proving that the entire human race is more foolish than me. Once again, no, you can't. It's the fastest and strongest QED in the world. Battler, put me in! Tag me in! Tag me in! You guys are fucking wrong. What the hell? This is Hempel's Raven. Hempel's Raven sucks shit. I hate that shit. What a ridiculous argument. It's a very, very convenient move. Not only demons, but gods also use it. Okay.
幸福である。
Okay, so learning a lot about this world. Demons are real, so are gods, but there are definitely more than one. When you propose blessed equals God's servant, the contrapositive, if a human is not a servant of God, then he must not be blessed.
幸福であってはいけないとなります。つまり、
So, in order for servants of God to prove that they are granted fortune by their divine protection, you only have to prove that those who don't receive that divine protection suffer misfortune. Therefore, by bringing misfortune down upon those people who don't believe in their own God, they prove their own blessedness. That one makes a little bit more sense to me, but it's like the contrapositive thing is like it's so flimsy as an argument, because the second you find proof that like your contrapositive doesn't work, then it's fucking over. Like if you find a raven that's like a bird that's not a raven that's black, like your whole fucking thing blows up. Hempel's raven might as well be like fucking Hempel's like blackbird or some shit. I don't know. Or an albino raven, right? Like exactly. It takes an enormous cost to give humans happiness. However, the necessary cost to bring humans misfortune is much cheaper. So by using Hempel's raven, gods can actually give believers the joy of divine protection at the lowest cost. Demon. It's a demon's argument. That's messed up. Seems we've gotten off topic. Let's return to it. I finished describing the move for my counterattack. The counterattack to your claim that a 19th person is the culprit, therefore all 18 are innocent and the witch doesn't exist is. In that case, if I can prove that the culprit is not some 19th person, can we agree that the culprit must either be one of the 18 or a witch? I await your answer. Well, sure, but what about the 20th person or the 21st? Like I said, we can go all day with this shit.
Keep going.
For a while, I just stood there, shocked, completely forgetting to close my mouth. Just when I thought that I got my own back on them by using their favorite move against them, the counterattack had been this reckless argument which I could not even begun to imagine. It's just, I wouldn't normally like harp so much on this thing. It's just that like Umineko has been like so good about not like
Nonsense.
about like kind of being smartly written and having characters like it avoids the Ace Attorney problem really really incredibly, where like you figure out things like way before the characters do. And like it like fucks with your logic when you have to prove things that you've already moved past. Like it dodges that so well. This is like the first time that I think I feel like I'm like ahead of the script a little bit on this.
Well, you know, not everything can be perfect.
No, as far as like nitpicks go, this is really minor, but at the same time, this is like the first time that this has happened in this game, and I can't help but find myself to be a little bit disappointed. Even though, once again, second longest video game script ever.
As you go on into Umineko, I feel like these kind of moments will happen a bit more and more, which is like not. I think it's like kind of to be expected considering how long Umineko is.
Oh yeah.
It's like, of course, eventually it would run into this kind of issue.
Like you can be like, and you can be one of the smartest people in the world, and if you keep talking long enough, eventually you're going to slip up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
it's kind of a miracle that it took this long to get here, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're 21 parts, multi-hour long parts into this, and this is the first time I've been like, this is like me being disappointed with the writing. This is the first time. I think, speaking of the fact that this used to be the longest game script ever, guess what was in second place? Or I guess now in third place?
What?
Higurashi.
I'm just kidding.
Higurashi.
Homestuck as a real game.
Yeah.
Higurashi.
Yeah. So it's Umineko and then Higurashi. Yeah. You're just like, yeah.
Damn.
That's this dude. Brevity is the soul of wit. Never met this dude.
I really just ate both of those things up too. Damn.
listen, you're very well read, even just by volume.
Umineko's way better than Higurashi, though.
I like I've seen enough of like Higurashi or absorbed it by osmosis, like from you or like people that I've been following who've been playing through it or whatever, to think that like given the choice between the two, I think I definitely prefer Umineko.
Well, Umineko is just, it's great overall.
Yeah, it's like this really cool, fucked up like murder mystery thing where you're dealing with like these people and like the character dynamics are so good. Um and like with Higurashi, it's like much more just like straight horror, I guess. Like things.
No, my issue with Higurashi, actually, like, I think I genuinely, like, I love Higurashi, I really do, at least, like, the original games, like, not talking about the anime or
Oh
anything like
yeah.
that.
What you're telling me? I'm just sitting here once again remembering
Stop!
that fucked up season where it's just like Thursdays were the worst because you got
Stop!
Wonder Egg and Go.
Stop!
What?
Higurashi has a lot more, like, disgusting kind of, like, pedo moments, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, like, most of the characters, like, the main cast,
It's like
much
high
like,
school.
kind of like Yumineko, they're kids.
Like they're like middle
Like,
school, right?
they're like, it's a mixture. They're like high school to like elementary school.
Okay. So yeah, so like instead of so like when it's like there's like a Beatrice steps on Battler's balls incident, like it's not like, oh, these are basically adults. It's more like, oh, this is children.
Yeah. I don't I don't remember if the game, like the original visual novel. No, yes they do. I,
You're like you
I
thought
fucked
about
it
it
up
for a
so
second
bad.
and you're like you thought about it for a second and you're like, I don't know if that like nope, no, it had something bad.
Okay, let me just make this short. So you know, like the stupid pervy moments that happen between like
Oh,
Battler
Battler?
and like Jessica or like Shannon or whoever, and it's just like, well, I guess it's okay because they're like older teenagers
Mm-hmm.
and they're just fucking around.
What if it
Okay,
was
now
an
imagine if
elementary
that was
school?
with Maria.
No! Oh God! Damn it! I mean,
Like literally, that's why I really like. I
there.
I love Higurashi, but like genuinely, like Yumineko is better because Higurashi stoops low enough.
Yeah, I think there is like a moment where he does almost start to make a joke about like grow up to be really sexy, Maria, so that way I can date you or something like that.
Yeah,
But I think
I
that's like the
only
worst it's ever
it.
been.
I also don't like that, and I'm not like giving it a pass or
Oh
anything.
yeah.
But it's such a short segment compared to the rest of Umineko. Where in Higurashi, like the characters are kind of subjected to like such a like embarrassing and kind of like perverted things that like it lasts like the entire scene.
Oh yeah, I guess I can see because like it's like Higurashi strikes me like it has like like a lot more of its scenes like by volume are more like kind of like slice of life, whereas this is like it's like getting into like the interplay of like family politics almost immediately. So you don't really have that sort of like downtime feeling you get like whenever they're riding the boat over is basically it, and like the flashbacks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess I can see how that
The,
goes. Yeah.
yeah. Yumineko has the benefit of like shit goes down like too fast for them to keep fucking around, and like they don't ever come back from like taking it seriously. Like they don't go back to like goofing off once
Mm-hmm.
like the first night happens.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Echo's so fun. I think even without the whole witch stuff, if you put people in a closed room after enough time, there would still be a murder happening. Yeah, like that's the thing about this is like even without all the witch shit and the magic shit, somebody would have probably died here. Like if
God.
Beatrice hadn't existed at all, I think that there would have still been a murder. Was it really impossible? No. To continue denying the witch on an island with no more than 18 people and yet still believe in the innocence of those 18 people? Was that just a delusion? Was I just trying to escape reality? Yes, but also no. Because you can escape reality harder, you just haven't realized it yet. Also, it was Shannon. Shannon did it. Not yet. Don't give up the struggle yet. Don't give up this struggle yet. Who cares about whoever's Raven? Yeah, fuck that guy and his bird too. They're probably they're just trying to speak in riddles by trying to bring up some weird bits of trivia. This is really bringing up this moment in like the fucking Hi, I'm Daisy Persona 4 comic where like character like Teddy is like his shadow is like saying like stuff about like existentialism or whatever, and Teddy's just like, you're just trying to confuse me with big words because I'm not very smart. And I'm like, this is what's happening here. This is his defense is I'm stupid.
Mm.
I had used the devil's proof. Don't feel bad and use something once you've used it. Believe in the spear you've lunged forward with. Apply even more force and gouge it in. Yeah, more boxes! More boxes! The game is still in the opening. Do you intend to spend this long thinking? Ah, wait a second. I want to be sure. Well, yes, I did use the phrasing of a 19th person to make it easy to understand. I can use the devil's proof to raise the number of people above 18. But what I mean is an unspecified large number of extra people. Okay, so the one criticism I had of like, you know, being behind the dialogue, like being in front of the dialogue, was immediately solved. Never mind.
Yay.
You don't know if it's 10 or 100. Battler, I'm so glad that Battler immediately hit on the strategy of just make more boxes. Fuck you, Beatrice. Always one more than you assume. Understand? She'd return my twisted logic with something even more twisted, so the only thing that could counter that would be even crazier twisted logic. There are a billion people on this island, and all of them are hidden. I see. Even if I somehow provable alibi for the 19th person, as soon as I do, you will think of a 20th person and claim that they are the culprit. By repeating this infinitely, you would make it so I kept searching for their ally for alternative. I'm sitting here and like I genuinely feel bad that I raised this and like phrased it as a criticism, only for them to immediately, the second I stopped talking about it, to like go on to the thing that I had said that I wish they had done. I'm so fucked up. God damn it.
It's okay. It is kind of funny how many times you would pause to talk about something and then like 2 minutes later they will just confirm it. Or
I am in there.
Wrong.
I am me and Ryukishi are just like not locked in there. We're just, the brain is on that same wavelength. Which is why I'm sure that my theory is correct.
You gonna write me the next when they cry?
No, that's a lot of work. I'll write the next Silent Hill F.
You ever go to the bank because your ATM card isn't working, they bring you to an ATM and turns out you just put the card back. Oh no! Aw, Gregory.
That's rough, buddy.
Girl.
That's rough. By repeating this infinitely, you would make it so I kept searching for their alibis for all eternity. I see. Just like a demon king summoning a plague of locusts. I wouldn't expect anything less from Kinzo's grandchild. It looks like you've been gifted with a talent in summoning. In short, it is impossible to continually prove an alibi for the X existing outside the first 18. How do you like that, Bito? Now that I know that we're having a battle with twisted logic, I won't lose. I'll just make shit up. I'll make up as much shit as you want. How foolish. Who do you think I am? I am the Endless Witch, the Infinite Witch. I can do this forever, you dipshit. There are a trillion people on this island, and I will find alibis for every single one. Having control over infinity means I am also able to kill infinity. Okay, but like that doesn't actually defeat his logic in this case, though.
Mm-hmm.
When your 19th person's folds, you will call it 20th, and when your 20th person folds, you will call it 21st. When your 21st person folds, and your 22nd folds, and you will call it 23rd and 34th.
Bro!
A very large number if... Wait, give me 1
God
second.
damn.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna play that voice line again. You think you can trifle with me for all eternity? I laugh at infinite regress. I'm gonna play that again because I want to hear her say those numbers in sequence like that again because it's really funny.
そなたは20人目を呼び、20人目を切れば21人目を呼び、21人目を切れば22人目を切れば、23人目を呼び34人目を呼び、6計4358兆2235億7967万3204人目を呼び、わらわを永遠に翻弄で生きるとでも。
It's really funny.
This almost feels like bullying.
She's so funny. She's so funny. I love it when voice actors are just like, yeah, I'll fucking say that ridiculous thing you just made me said. I laugh at infinite regress. The infinite doesn't affect me. I can do all this shit forever. Well, then how will you kill my infinity? Just try and show me. Red. Saying in... Oh, she'll just say it in red, obviously. I have the power to speak truth in red.
The fact that he keeps confetti!
Yeah, like, how did you forget about this, dude? The whole thing was that you started using Devil's Brew. Like, you started this. And then she's like, fine, I'll just use it against you. Fuck you. And then she's like, I guess I'll just use Devil's Proof again. And it's like, you forget that she can actually be like, no. 19 people. Here it comes. When I speak in red, it contains absolutely no illusions. Now, to be fair, this is in white. If I say once in red that there are no more than 100 people in this island, we will no longer be able to be permitted to create a 100 first person. He for gore. Come now, battle. What truth shall I tell you in red this time? Where shall I strike for the kill and force you into hopelessness? Come, show me your usual frightened face. Oh no, she's stepping on his balls again. Battler's like, oh, I got you. Ooh, I got you. Why are you laughing? I wonder what kind of creepy look I had on my face as I laughed right then. This is them this is like Battler is becoming more like Beatrice by the day.
They were made for each other.
They really were. These guys are just like they're so toxic, but they're like two gears made of like poison that just have interlocked so tightly that you could never tear them apart. That red sure is scary. Every time it jumps out, I'm driven into the depths of hopelessness. But I'd already realized it. There's no need to be unnecessarily afraid of the red. You brought out your secret weapon again. So, but and how will the great Beatrice Sama speak in red this time?
I like the way you said that.
She's like, I don't like how you're saying this. I don't like how you're happy about this.
This is a really good face.
Yeah. What do you mean by this? What the fuck? Why the fuck are you happy? Suddenly looking so relaxed. Sorry, but I've been waiting for you to take out that blood-red treasured sword. Let's see, what will you proclaim in red this time? You're not going to say the culprit was one of the 18, are you? Let me warn you, that would be self-destruction, remember? That would be the same as throwing away your own witch theory yourself. A complete resignation. Yeah, that's right. If she says that it's one of the 18 people did it, then, like, none of those people are witches. None of those people are Beatrice, except Shannon, who is Beatrice. That's right, the red isn't always necessarily to Beatrice's advantage. On the contrary, if she used it the wrong way, it's dangerous enough that she could bring about her own death. If she used it carelessly and said something which ended up denying herself, that would be the exactly the same thing as self-destructing. Of course, it would also be sad and difficult for me to accept if you told me in red that one of the 18 was the culprit. No matter who the culprit actually was, it would surely bring me some tough emotions. But before that, it would mean your defeat. Saying in red that the culprit is a human is equivalent to your proclamation of resignation. If you want to strike me a blow so badly you're prepared to die at the same time, I think that's a pretty interesting move. It almost feels like he's like warning her. Like, if she had just like accidentally said that, like it would have just been over. However, this battle will end in my this battle will end in my victory. Beatrice's red was truly her secret weapon, her treasured blade. The things she spoke in red would become solidified as the truth. No amount of evidence or counter-arguments would change them. They had cut me down to size many times now, running into any supports my heart had to lean on. However, if she used it carelessly, then I could also find a little information about the truth. In the last game, especially during the chapel's locked room trick, I had taken advantage of that, and had closed her almost completely. But she was also pretty sly. She had learned from experience in Set-the-Sun, had started using the discretion in the timing of the red. This feeling of tension was almost literally like a battle with real swords. This was a battle of high intelligence.
Wow.
There's something about this that I'm like, you're both too stupid to say that. This is, if Kyrie was here, you could say this. Kyrie is not here. No, not of intelligence. It really was twisted logic. That was the world's craziest and worst battle of... This is the world's craziest and worst battle of twisted logic. So, now it's your move. That's right. To use your Hempel's Raven. First, you'll have to confirm in red how many humans there are other than the 18. And after that, if you're claiming in red that none of the people in that group are the culprits, that's right, then it might be a fatal wound to me. I'm surprised you no longer have even an atom of fear for that red, which you feared so much. You're quite sturdy. Unsheath it. Your treasured... He's like, get on with it! A single perfect swing, and you might be able to break me this time. Who knows? Interesting. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm glad she's having fun. Agitate her, provoke her, drive her into a corner and make her speak in red. Of course, her red has always cut through my only threads of hope, but don't be afraid of that. On this island overcome with falsehoods and illusions, the only thing I can trust is the information that she speaks in red. It's my only way across the chasm of hell. Just a single tightrope. Her merciless blood-red blade is the only way I can survive. This isn't just walking on a tightrope, it's literally walking the edge of a blade. Of course I'm afraid. In terms of her contrapositive, my victory condition, the denial of the witch, meant that the culprit was a human. But I didn't want to search for the culprit amid the 18. Therefore, I had held on to a weak point, since I had to deny the witch and the 18 at the same time. Since I had been unable to understand that last time, that was where she had hit me, leaving me tattered and defeated. But it's alright. Let her hit me. Let her attack. No problem. Someone had said it once in an old sword-fighting movie, that a good fortress has one, and only one, intentionally weak point. The enemy would gather there. They would be lured there. That would be where the actual battle took place. As long as I understood my weak points, and as long as she wants to attack those weak points, then it's as if I've induced her to attack there. Carefully judge the distance from your enemy, and retreat step by step. Make them draw their sword first. The more she recklessly flourishes that red, the more chance they'll have to strike back. Don't be afraid of the red. Heap the pressure on so that she's forced to refute with the red. No matter how impressively she speaks in red. Yes, that red itself is the same as fresh blood splurting for more wounds. This is cool. The Umineko's cool, man. Come on, what's wrong? First of all, why don't you tell me in red how many people there are on this island total? If you don't, your raven can't cut me up. How surprising that you can be this desperate and yet this difficult. One cannot make light of someone putting their life on the line, no matter the error. It's no surprise you're Kinzo's grandchild. The more cornered you are, the bolder you become. Renove cleared his throat. You appear to be at a standstill. That black tea I worked so hard to make is getting cold, milady. Renove, who was supposed to be her ally, roguishly rushed her next move. Ito smiled back, probably intending to demonstrate that she was still relaxed, but she couldn't hide the sweat building up on her forehead. By now, she had completely lost the relaxedness that should have allowed her to turn her nose up at her worthless opponent. Of course, she probably wasn't really cornered by something like this. She was just being cautious. Until now, I had been inexperienced. I didn't have a good grasp on how to fight, and I was underpowered as an opponent. However, now that we had reached the third game, she realized that I was starting to become skilled, and she had grown more cautious, thinking every move over carefully. Sure, that's just fine, Beatrice. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Are you happy now? I love how it's just like, even if it's like a taunting, like he's still kind of like thinking about it. It's like,
Yeah.
Are you happy now? Is that what you wanted? Now things are starting to get interesting, right? She's like, man, I really want to step on your balls right now.
Bro.
This isn't going anywhere. Then should I just dive right in and go with the usual? The usual, you say. Bless you. Then by all means. If I don't hear it, I guess we just won't get the sense that we started. I was really thinking this was going to end like about 5 to 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
The first move was mine. Here I come, Bito. Repetition requested. There are only 18 people on this island. If I hear you say this in red, I will have no choice but to doubt one of the 18. Since it could no longer be the work of a 19th person, all doors will be closed to me. But I believe that the culprit is definitely not one of the 18. There's no way that any of those 18 could commit such brutal murders. I'll say it again. Repetition requested. There are only 18 people on this island. I decline. I won't say why. Whew. I had avoided what would have been the worst red for me. So, I think the reason she's doing this is not necessarily because, there are more than 18 people on this island. I think it's just that if she said that her existence as a witch would be denied. If we're rolling with the whole, Shannon theory that I've got going on, there really are only 8... There technically are only 17 people on the island. But... She can't say that because that's going to close her off the ability of her to claim that she's a witch.
Right.
So she would have killed herself. If she had repeated that, I would have been faced with the two worst choices of accepting the witch or suspecting one of the 18, like the last time all over again. But Bito had not proclaimed my ultimate and greatest weakness in red. She had declined to repeat it, even though there was no reason why she shouldn't have struck. Even though it was a weakness she should have been drooling at. She hadn't sliced me up with a red by using that move, which should have been as good as forking a rook and the king. It was a big sign of my advantage. That's right, the culprit isn't one of the 18 people. I won't doubt anyone, and since the culprit isn't a witch either, it means that a 19th person exists on the island. And that's you, a person who, as grandfather's mistress of 30 years, had been living secretly in a hidden mansion in the forest for a long, long time. That, no, you're not. The human Beatrice. Once again, I do genuinely, there's no way, a woman that old would be able to do all the things that are necessary for this plan to go off. You aren't a witch or anything like it. I'll accept a daughter or a granddaughter, but not, the actual person. You aren't a witch or anything like it. You're just a human who's been living on this island and hiding for several decades. Did you just call me, the endless witch who has lived for over 1,000 years, a mere human? For a while, Beatrice continued laughing unpleasantly, gloating, or maybe spiteful. Are you ready? I'll keep going. Again, repetition requested. There are at least 19 people on the island. On this island. Beatrice fell silent once more. The feeling of confirming the number of humans on this island might possibly stand to give her some large disadvantage, was probably making her extremely cautious. The red had already become a foothold for my counterattack. With that in mind, all the red had become a risk for the witch. If she couldn't repeat this, her Rempel's Raven wouldn't work. In order to break my Devil's Proof, first, the existence and number of people outside the 18 needed to be confirmed in red. That's right, she couldn't break the existence of a 19th person unless she used red. I had closed Bito in, giving her no choice but to speak in red. There really was a way to fight in this witch's game. It's alright to decline. If you can't say it in red, then that means the total number of people on the island will be 18 plus X. That X is a pretty huge piece to allow me to have in the first move, isn't it? After all, from then on, all the tricks with the basis of it was impossible for any of the 18 to become explainable with the human X outside the 18 people. It's a huge piece that can break open any locker room, hinging on everyone having an alibi. It was just like a bishop in chess, which can cut a thin line across through enemy forces as long as there's a slight gap. It exerts only an effect over squares of the board of the same color, but it has no great ability to control the board.
I love this song. I love all Umineko songs.
Yeah, it's really good. This is like reminds me a lot of like a V3 track, in a way. Like, or I guess V3 more takes inspiration from Umineko in that regard, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Looked like Vito also well understood her current plight. She couldn't just let such an important piece go, especially this close to the beginning of the game. If she pulled out her red treasure sword, it wouldn't be that difficult to save the piece. But Vito was completely aware that I was expecting it. She was afraid that a careless red truth might end up strangling her own neck. Because, in that first place, a witch was something that should be denied in red. Believe, don't doubt, witches don't exist. Something like that can't exist in this world. They can only exist in cracks in reality. They are a fragile existence, curled up in these cracks, frantically trying to protect themselves from the brutal winds of truth. And they can only barely exist like a mirage by surviving on falsehoods and fantasy. In other words, the red, which only witches can use, is the very reality by which they risk denying themselves. They once more brandish their red words. The more they brandish their red words, the more they begin to lose, bit by bit, that crack in reality in which they can endure. That's why they don't go through the red, to carelessly lose that crack in reality, which is based on the fuzzy information, or in other words, fantasy. Because they understand that they would be gradually cornering themselves. Of course, she would never admit it. Because if she did, it would be the same thing as admitting that she is something that can't exist in this world, like an imaginary number. Don't be afraid. Stay strong. She knows this deep down and better than anyone, that her red treasure sword can't be used without a considerable resolve. What's wrong? I'll say it again. Repetition requested. There are at least 19 people on this island. I declined. At the end of a very long time spent deliberating, letting a single deep breath escape, she quietly proclaimed her refusal. I had thought that she'd use it. But Vito refused to speak in red, even though that would cost her victory in the opening part of the game. You declined, yes? Which means that from now on, I can create as many fictional X's outside of the 18 that I want. Do as you wish. I have declined your repetition. Isn't that enough for now? The reason I declined was... No, I will not reveal that for now. You will know soon in any case. Still acting tough, I see. Red that I deliberately don't use in itself is a fitting use of red. You called it my red treasure sword. A pleasant analogy. I will use it too. A treasure sword is at its best when it's sheathed. In fact, there are times where it can instill even more fear because it's sheathed. That's right. As I fight, I always have to keep in mind that you might turn everything over with those red words. It's some pretty serious pressure. And there are times where having a repetition decline makes things harder for me. Those times I can't tell whether you can't repeat because my guess was right, or whether you're just misleading me and letting me think whatever I want. In that case, yes, I see. I've sheathed the treasure sword. What does it matter? If I'm going to push you off a cliff anyways, I might as well let you climb a little higher first. We have still barely begun. Much is left to come. I'll resign from this challenge. Go ahead and get drunk on your faint victory for now. Only for now. Good job, Antler. Finally, I think this is the first time like he's kind of like definitively won.
Mm-hmm. We're doing it, boys.
We're doing it.
We reached the end of the scene.
Bitter comment did in fact appear to have marked the end of the game. Alright.
No, you can keep going.
Oh, okay.
There's gonna be... it's only like, I think, a few more sentences.
Did in fact...
Not a bullet, but...
did in fact appear to have marked the end of the game's opening battle. Even so, I couldn't relax my guard at all. I was unable to relax my feeling of tension until I was greeted by the sound of Renobe's applause.
お見事です
Spectacular,
バトラー
Battler
様
Sama.
まずは
I
序盤
suppose
は
we could say that
バ
this
トラー
game has
様
started
有利
with
の
at least
展
the
開
opening
で
unfolded
スタ
to
ー
your
トという
advantage.
さあな
No
こ
idea.
の駒が
I still don't know
俺の
whether
手で
this
もぎ
piece
取
I
っ
was
たもの
something
な
I
のか
tore from her with my own
取
hands,
るよ
or
誘
whether
導
she
された
guided
こ
me
の
into
鎌
taking it.
どうせお前のこと
After
だ
all, knowing you,
俺が罠
you
には
probably
まり
know
始
that I'm
めてる
being
のを
led
知っ
into a
てた
trap, and that clapping is
しら
just a
じらしく拍手をして
clapping
る
is
ん
just
だ
a
ろ
barefaced lie, right?
まさか
How could you think that?
序盤と
I
はい
am
え
innocently celebrating your
お嬢
ability
様
that
よ
has
り一
enabled you to
本を
take
奪
one
った
shot at
手腕
Milady,
を
though granted it
純
is
粋
only
に
the
祝福
opening.
何しろお
After
嬢
all,
様
Milady is a
は
person who is
す
quick
ぐ
to
増
become
長す
arrogant.
るたまには
I
こ
believe
の
that
よ
its
う
little
な刺激
stimulation
も
such as that
良い
for a
薬か
good
と思い
medicine
ます
every
よ
once in a while.
お前んとこの執事
This butler of yours sure has a
と
vicious
口
tongue.
悪いな
であろう
Isn't it so?
たまにわらわら
Sometimes he enrages even me.
それはそれは
My, how
大
incredibly
変
rude
に
of me.
失礼いたしましたさあさあ
Well then, Milady,
お嬢
Battler
様に
Sama,
紅茶のお
would you
か
care
わ
for
り
some
はい
more
か
black
ま
tea?
だゲームは
The
始
game
ま
has
った
so
ばかり
barely
でゲ
begun.
ームを
Please
彩
leave
るお
any
茶
tea
の
or
お菓
pastries
子
that might
は
adorn this game to me.
どうぞお気兼ねな
Please, do not
く
hesitate to further advance the game.
そうさせてもら
I
う
will.
先を進めるぜ
Let's move
これ
forward.
からが本
Now
番
is
だ
when it really starts.
よかろう
Very well.
時計を
Let us
進め
advance
よ
the
うでは
clock.
ロノウェ
Renove. Black tea, please.
かしこまりましたク
Certainly.
ッキー
What
は
about a cookie?
いらぬ
No need.
ベルゼブ
Give
ブ
it to
にあれば
Beelzebub to
喜
keep
ぼ
her
う
happy.
しばし
Remain silent for now. While listening to the sound of the demon butler pouring tea, the witch closed her eyes slightly and fell into silence. For some time she was deeply lost in thought, but eventually a roguish glint came into her eyes.
よかろ
Very well.
うわらわが
Why don't
どう
I
して
inform you now why I declined to speak in red for the first move?
何
What?
上等じゃねえかよ
She's gonna say 17. Come on. If she says 17, I'm gonna lose my shit because I'm totally right then. Bring it on. Show me what you got.
やはり
It really is a big piece that you'd hate to miss.
拙速かも
Maybe
しれん
hasty, but allow me to move.
赤は
I won't use red, but from here on, Rosa will
今
explain on my
より
behalf.
わらわに代わってロー
Is
プ
she still hanging
Happy
around?
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Oh, okay, and then it's gonna be like Rosa explaining in the... Okay.
Perfect.
As soon as we get to that first dialogue box, I'll say...
もちろん私も同意よ
Ava, it's never, it's obvious that you agree with anything. You're such a, you love stirring the pot too much.
She does, and I love her for it.
All right, yay, Umineko!
Yay, Umineko!
Oh, that was so much fun. I'm so glad to be back. Wow, no one is live. This is like the least live I've seen my thing in forever. It's just T-Pain on my list, and that's it.
Very, very long Mother's Day.
Very long Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Happy Mother's Day! Except
It's-
to you, Rosa.
Except to you, Rosa. Rosa, you can go to hell. Moms are strong, except for Rosa. The only way she's strong in the way is like the hand that she raises to her child. Alright. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and call it here. Thank you guys for coming out. Don't know what the
Yippee.
schedule is gonna look like for like the next little while. Eddie's gonna be like taking a trip here next week.
Yeah.
So that's probably gonna affect our
About
schedule.
halfway through the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's gonna last for what, about a week and a half, something like that? 2 weeks?
Just a week.
Okay, gotcha. So what we'll probably do then is we're going to probably play a lot of Clair Obscure at that point. Like, I'm going to probably try to get through as much of the game as I can during that. Because I realized that maybe I started a little too much by streaming that. So we'll see what's going on with that. Any kind of D&D stuff, we don't have like a schedule set for anything right now. But it'll probably be happening sometime this week. Probably.
Probably.
If not, like, when I know what's going on, I'll let people know. But in the meantime, thank you guys for coming out. We'll go ahead and see you later. Bye-bye.
Yay, Umineko. Bye-bye.
Yay.